Discussion on the water rates work session.
All right, were you gonna do roll call or no?
We don't usually do it.
Okay, not that I remember,
I
but
don't think we
again,
do it for work session.
okay. All right. Trilogy LLC has completed the rate analysis for the city's water distribution system. They have determined that we are over collecting on the debt service for the system improvement, but under collecting on rates to operate the system. Attached is a breakdown of the 3 rate changes that they are proposing. On that second page, calculations for average residential customer with a 5/8 inch line. In all 3 scenarios, the meter maintenance and fire flow fees stay the same. Option 1, cut debt service fee by 44% to amount needed to cover annual payment and raise water usage rate by 49%, $1.22 per 1,000 gallons, and the meter base fee by 33.7%, $3.20 to increase operating revenue. The rate and fee increase will be in one single year. However, the average customer will see a negligible increase in their water bill. Option 2, a partial cut, 21.65% to the debt service fee that will still allow the city to collect more than the amount needed to cover the annual payment and save the city $298,500 in interest. The water rates and fees will increase over 2 years. The water usage rate will increase 38.4% in the first year and 8.4% in the second year for a total increase of 50%, $1.25 over the 2 years. The meter base fee will increase 24.3% in the first year and 8.5% in the second year for a total increase of 35%, $3.31 over the 2 years. Option 3, no change to the debt service fee that will allow the city to pay off the debt sooner and save the city $470,000 in interest payments. Water rates and fees will increase over a 3-year period. The water usage rate will increase 19.2%, 14.1%, and 14.1% each year. The total increase over the 3 years will be 55%, $1.38. The meter base fee will increase 7%, 14%, and 14% each year. The total increase over the 3 years will be 39%, $3.70. So if we look back at past council discussions, the crux of the decision is the debt service, on how fast we want to pay that off and who we put those payments on.
Tiffany.
So I do have a question. Why, looking at this, I don't know if you have any answers, but I mean, like, for example, in all 3, in the columns, it's columns that are the same in all 3 options. Well, why does the meter base fee change? So much. Why does it go up to $13.20 in 2027 for option 3? But it's only like $12.81 and then $12.70 for the.
Because based on what they think we need to collect per year, we're under collecting the first couple years, so that third raise makes up for it. So they're saying if we just made one change right now to get our rates to where they at, that would be option 1. Yes, sorry, option 1. One change and done. So we would be at 1270, but because we're not getting there right away, we need to up it slightly to catch up the money we missed those first 2 years.
But I mean, it just really seems like it seems like there would be like a little bit more gentler way to do that in option 3. But I mean, I guess we'll have that discussion if that's the option we choose. But and just to go from 10 to 11 to 13 seems like a pretty big jump.
Hi, I actually showed up at 6.
Oh.
And then I hopped online, City Cascade Locks, we have a meeting at 7. I'm like, oh, I got an hour. Wrong. Sorry, guys.
You're okay. You're doing okay.
You're pedaling as fast as you could.
Did we go back and see what council, because I keep saying that when I was on council is when we made this debt service fee of $20 to save, not the city's $470,000 in interest, but the people the community $470,000 in interest, because it was, so we started collecting it like a year ahead of time and all that.
Yeah.
And we wanted to get this paid off as quick as possible to save all that interest. And that's also the reason why Tom had it put in as a loan payment, so when it's done, it's done. Have we went back to look at the minutes or anything?
We did look, but didn't we? And I don't think it mentioned anything specific about it. It just set the rate. That was it.
There was no resolution or anything?
Well, it's not in the resolution or the loan or anything like that. It was mentioned in the minutes. You know, they talked about doing that, but there was nothing set
Yeah,
to do
correct.
that.
So I understand what you're saying, but I also understand what Pete's saying, and I mean, because yours was that we need to pay it off early and get it done.
Done.
Your statement, if I'm correct, was that it's not fair to place all the burden on those of us living here now. It should be spread out to people who in the future are also gonna be using it, so that we're not paying the debt off for the future. So, you know, to me, a compromise seems appropriate. More, like option 2, or, yeah. I don't know.
And just to clarify, I think it was Bernard that actually brought that up. It wasn't something that I really understood. It was like, they told me, but made me think about that a little bit, because I'm very debt adverse myself. And I think it was the comment that Bernard made about, you know, these long-term investments, you know, having financing in place, it spreads that cost over, the people are gonna be benefiting from those system improvements. So that's kind of where that came from. But I was just, do you know what kind of interest rate we're getting on that loan?
Oh, it's very usually.
I looked it up and I don't remember off the
Yeah.
top of my head. It is low. Yeah.
Is it like 3.5%?
I don't remember. I'd have to look.
I mean, the point I wanna bring up though, I mean, I'd like to know that number, because if our average inflation rate is 3%. Subtract that out of the equation, you know, that means that really the cost to borrow that money is 0.5%, right? And so then when you kind of factor that into the burden that puts on the current residents. Especially when we look at the increasing cost to operate our system, I think there's a strong argument to be made that, you know, I think it was made with good decision, you know, before. But here we are now, and we have to look at these increasing costs, and we start to see option 2 and option 3 and how that's gonna affect people's rates. You know, maybe we reconsider that. But I'd like to get a clarification.
Yeah, I can actually run and go grab it.
Yeah, I feel like that might be pertinent to this.
Yeah.
And then, are you gonna bring up, because I went back and watched the minutes from the last, I went back and watched the meeting, because I wanted some clarification on something, and you also brought up, Bernard, that you, wanted a discussion on, along with this, with the, charging the vacants and demolished. So is that part of this discussion too, or are we just only gonna discuss the rates?
The discussion of the water rates, so I think that we were stuck on these 3 options and we never made it.
I got that too, but he also brought up another point that he wanted to discuss, and that is whether or not we should charge vacants and demolished properties.
Where was that written?
The meter.
Where was
Yeah.
that written?
Where was it written? It was
That
just.
we don't charge them.
Oh.
Otherwise they have to-
It's not in our. I
Should
don't
be in
think
our water
it's
ordinance,
not-
isn't it?
If there's a meter and it is connected, they're charged. If they disconnect it, they're not charged.
But also, if they disconnect it, then whenever they decide they do want it, then are they treated as a whole new hookup?
It's just a connection fee
Connection
for
fee.
billing.
Okay.
But they're not paying monthly for this, for the infrastructure that's sitting there waiting to be used. Right? I mean,
Yes, yes.
See, Ashland, I believe it was, I spoke with the mayor there and they actually charge no matter what. If you have an address, you're charged.
But I think.
And that's to help keep everything, their system updated and all that, cause it costs.
And I think what we're trying to do is a little carrot and stick approach to helping developers, encourage them to develop their
Yeah, that
properties, right?
too.
So we got a little stick here that, hey, you're paying this, it's a negligible fee, but there's a fee that you're paying on your property. Do something with it, right?
So, yeah.
Do you have an answer?
1.5.
So under.
Yeah. So this was finalized in 2020 or ish somewhere. I mean, when rates were super low, 2021.
So I would just argue from a finance perspective that the amount that we're actually borrowing is better served for immediate needs than to pay down debt on a 1.5% interest loan. I think there's a strong argument to say that if you were to run this out to the end, if the money we borrow is worth less than what we borrowed, does that make sense?
Yeah, but it is still, I mean, $500,000, I mean, 300.
$470,000.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost a half. I mean,
It's a lot of money we borrowed, right?
okay.
Bernard.
So, thanks, Mayor. So, I kind of, maybe I glanced at this, but, I was thinking about this conversation tonight. And it's my intention that the goal of any rate setting for a utility should be driven by two things. What I would call responsible funding of that utility and efficiency. Now, responsible funding in my mind is a rate structure that ensures the utility has the proper resources to operate itself and capitalize itself for the long duration. You don't want your utility to erode because of capital neglect or operational neglect. Both of those need to be addressed when you're setting rates. Okay, and I call that responsible because we're the ones setting the rates. If we underfund these utilities, we are not being responsible with managing this critical asset to our city operations. So that's the first thing. The second thing is efficiency. And I met with the city administrator late last week talking about sewer rates. I know it's on, but this issue still applies. Efficiency is basically, how well are we? What is our cost in process? Sending out water to our utilities on a per gallon per customer basis. And to me, one of the best measures is
Always forget about
how we compare to other entities near us in our area. And the fact that, at least in one of those options, we could bump up above Hood River, doesn't, I feel like, no. And so it would be my hope that we do a combination of 1 and 3. One where we reduce the $20 to $11, but then the other rates that from 3, they get incremented on a year by year basis. Again, assuming this is what I was asking in one of my emails to the city administrator, assuming those rates can meet the operational and capital needs of the city. We know that 1110 will cover the debt service for this that loan, but the operational needs of the utility are based on all those other the fee structures. So assuming that works, that would be my ideal. And I built a little spreadsheet for this thing, and of course, if you're a higher user of sewer, of water, then you're going to be more impacted by here. No, this isn't it. Oh yeah, here. You're going to be more impacted by this new rate structure because our charge per thousand is going up, right? But let's say you're a 3 unit, so you're a lower user of water. If we do that combo, that person's seeing like a $7 a month drop in their water bill. And that would put us way below Hood River, probably some other jurisdictions that would like to be below. And again, it's not like we're being irresponsible. We are still meeting the capital and operational needs of the city, but we're doing it at a much price competitive basis. And I feel like that's the definition of good government. Delivering these things responsibly and doing it for a very low competitive cost. That's what that combination of 1 and 2 would do, in my opinion. And the other thing, maybe you've seen some of the literature, but there's something to be said with going to round numbers. So we have a meter maintenance fee of 88 cents. I would propose just set that at $1. We have a debt service fee proposal was like 12, what, just set it at 12. Do round numbers and all these numbers. And I don't know, I feel like you get a better response from your customer. If you've ever walked into a restaurant, it's on round numbers versus the cluttered numbers. There's something psychological going on between round numbers and multiple numbers. So I would support us doing that. It just raises revenue on the margins, but I think it's cleaner on everything.
Okay.
Just want to have it clarified, I think it's the combination of 1 and 3 to begin with, and at the end you said option 1 and 2.
Oh, I meant three.
So 1 and
Sorry.
3, and can you explain then for me, just so I understand, it sounded like what you were saying was reduce the debt service like you would on option 1.
Correct.
Keep the rate structure like you would in option 3.
Correct.
But it sounds like if we were to reduce the debt service in option 1, even with the significant rate increase for option 1, most users wouldn't see a significant increase in their overall bill. Why would you not just want, and if we were to move to option 3, wouldn't that mean that people might even see a decrease in their bill? Why would you want to do
You
that?
would see a decrease in your bill if you set the let's see, the debt service fee at $11.20, but then you set water usage at $2.98, meter base, again, I would round it to 10, set at $9.50, instead of $10.16, fire flow $1, meter maintenance $1, a user of 3 units, and I'm a household of 3. I looked at my bill for the last 12 months. I had 4 months last year that I only used 3 units of water. So not that I'm trying to get a discount on this. Again, I want responsible funding of our services, but I'm saying that is not an atypical user experience. So an account like mine, I see a $7 decrease for next year's water consumption.
But I guess so you might see a temporary decrease, but in the long run, we're gonna end up paying more. Because we didn't collect it up front, we have to raise the rates higher in the long run.
Right, so my response to that is, time is your ally in rate management. Because you know who else is considering rates over the next, all our competitors, okay? So they're getting pressure on by their utilities to raise their rates. So the longer we delay it and still meet our needs, the better chance we are going to be the more efficient operational, utility. Does that make sense?
Thank you, I appreciate the clarification.
Tiffany?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask for clarification, but I'm still not, okay, so you're saying. The debt service for 1, keep the debt service as it is, we're overpaying.
No, 11.10. I want to drop
Go to 1.
to what it needs. Yeah, 1 shows it 11. Or 11.10.
11:10.
Oh, I see, oh, okay, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong line, gosh.
So the rates for option 3 with the debt service of
Of
option 1.
option 1,
Yep.
exactly.
I see.
And the benefit there being that we would be more competitive with our rates compared to the people in our surroundings.
While still meeting the operational capital needs of that utility. Yeah, I want to check in with my administrator, but my understanding is option 3 would not neglect the operational capital needs of that utility.
Correct.
Correct? Okay,
Correct.
That's my hope.
I just wanted to ask one question. So if we go with where we're gonna lower the debt service fee, all the money that we already have in this pot saved up, where's that money going?
Still stays there.
So are we gonna pay that toward the debt?
Yes,
Or-
we would, once we have enough money in the fund to pay the thing off, it'll go to it and we'll be done with it.
And I have no issue with that. I'm not gonna try to.
Yeah, I mean, at this point,
Yeah.
at this
No.
point, if we didn't add any extra money, we're probably still shaving 5 years off.
Right, right.
Maybe a little bit more.
Cause the other thing too is whenever we were given these rates and stuff, I believe at that meeting. That it was that our system was looking really good. Remember that? And I brought up how there was some leaks and I was told that there really wasn't any leaks. And I said, well, we did the main lines and we did some of the side streets, but we didn't get them all. Well, we could have some problems even with us not maintaining our system, the meter's not reading right and stuff, so I don't think we have as good a system as what we thought we did, or were told that we did.
And weren't we recently told we had 50% water loss.
We're telling, yeah, 50%.
So, I mean, that's a lot.
That's
a
a lot of water. I think before we ask the citizens, I think we need to fix our own house first before we press it out to the citizens to make them conserve. I
Did
mean,
you find out if that number's real?
They're still working on it. I haven't heard.
So we do have some issues going on, so I don't want you guys to think that we have this great water system, because we don't. Go ahead.
And I thought Sherelle really, she did a really good job, I think, of helping me understand this, and she was talking about, having an inspection program where we're replacing 100 of these a year. How many years they last. That should be part of our, is that part of our maintenance plan?
No, most of our meters, I'm understanding, are 15 years or better.
15 or plus, yeah.
But I guess as far as the cost for operation, there's a cost for us to go through and replace all those old meters.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Is that been factored into our operating costs, and was that factored into the math when we were trying to calculate the
Yes.
appropriate rates?
I mean, isn't that part of the meter base and the meter maintenance?
Correct.
base?
That's part of it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So we should have the money to take care of that,
Yes,
and it might be just
there,
bad
we've,
because we're not measuring and billing correctly.
Yeah, because if the meters aren't working properly, we could not be billing correctly, and it could look like we got a leak because we're not charging as much as what we should because the meter's not correct.
we've just never had a program in place.
So we need to have a program in place where we're replacing meters and we're tracking these and we're maintaining them. And then that way we know if we're really losing 50% of our water.
Right, I just wanna agree with all that, and there's on kind of the back end of that, or the front end of that, is we know how much water we pump into our reservoirs every month, and then we know how much we sell.
Yep.
So the delta of that should be the loss,
They're-
unless there's the meter issue,
Yep.
that could be
Yep.
an additional factor. So it's somewhere between loss or meter
Yeah.
loss that we can identify that number. And, again, because I care about a responsibly funded utility, if we find out that we've got serious issues, then I wanna visit our rates and allocate the resources to get these things fixed. If you're losing 50% of your water, you're not being a responsible utility.
No,
Not on board with that.
no,
So I'm very much of that opinion that if we get clarity on this and we don't have the resource to fix it, then let's revisit this conversation.
okay.
I'm just gonna, so is that, okay, so we're.
Because they're still working on figuring out where, if it's meters or leaks or what,
Yeah.
I think
Right,
they're
that-
cameras and
yeah.
all that, so they're working.
Okay, so when do we just give direction to staff on where we wanna go? We're gonna be more fair.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Do we wanna just quickly go around the room, just see
Yeah.
where we sit on option 1, 2, or 3, and
Yeah, Bernard, you go first.
I would like to see 1 for the debt service fee, and then 3 for the rate, rate structure for the next 3 years.
I'm not adverse to that, but I'm more leaning towards 2.
Time for 3.
I'm for 1.
That does not help me at all.
So I'm for 1 on the debt service fee, as long as that pocket of money that's sitting there is all goes toward that loan. And then for the rate increase, option 3.
Same as Bernard.
Yeah, I'm not adverse to that.
I can live with that
I
too.
mean, I just wanna make sure that money that's for debt service that we've been collecting.
Oh, yeah,
it
no, that's
goes
set.
down.
That is set. That's not going anywhere.
Okay.
Yep.
For me, I was leaning more towards option 2, but then when you told me 1.5% paying on the
Yeah.
USDA loan, that's kind of different if we were paying a much higher interest.
Higher rate.
Yeah.
It's still, I mean, a lot. I mean, when you're 300,000, almost, 4.5.
But a 1.5% interest rate means that the amount of money that we're gonna pay on that is actually gonna be less than what it would have. I don't know how to explain that, with the inflation, it's actually
Well-
less
And it
than what
doesn't
somebody's
actually-
gonna work.
And it doesn't change.
No, it's 1.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is that a USDA? That's-
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then sometime in the future, are we gonna discuss the event, the
vacant.
vacant.
Yeah, we can have that discussion. Yeah.
I think that's okay.
I know we're kind of out of time here. So I have consensus for reducing the debt service and then a slow increase for the rate change. Implementation date, I had 9/21 as a placeholder. Probably given this timeline, that's probably looking at more like January 1. To give council or give us more time to get it out to the residents.
Can we like get more information on what's going on with our water system?
We can,
So
yeah.
we don't have to do 2 increases, hopefully. We can, if we need a whole bunch of new meters or whatever, we can account for that.
Yeah.
Does everybody?
Yeah.
And then I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead, Tiffany.
I mean, is there any way we can like average out that increase so it's not doesn't?
Yeah,
I mean, so that it doesn't go to 13. Seems like we go from like that and then boing, and it does.
I would support that as well.
Okay, Bernard.
And then, to your point on timing, to me, the sooner the better.
I agree, yes.
Yeah, too. I just hate to do it twice if we find out you've got major.
Okay, so given the nature of this council, I'm sensing another work session to wrap this up before it goes to a resolution for vote. Sometime in August.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
Sooner the better.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, so that concludes the work session at 7 p.m. and we will go into a regular meeting. When we're ready, Catherine.
Without closing it and making.
You want me to?
We have to do the roll call.
No, we'll leave it running. We'll roll into it. Yep.
Right. All right, we'll do call of order and pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Councilmember Bond? Here. Councilmember Happy? Councilmember Keller?
Excused.
Councilmember Seeger?
Here.
Councilmember Pruitt? Here. Mayor Wynn?
Here. All right, additions or amendments to the agenda?
I do not have any.
Not either.
Can we add the discussion of what happened with city staff? Is that something we can add or do we need to give more notice on that?
What's that?
It'd have to be,
Yeah, it'd be an executive session.
yeah, we can have that, like that.
Okay.
have to have it in the plan.
Okay, well, I'd like to see that on the next. Page.
All right, adoption of the consent agenda.
Move to adopt the consent agenda, including the approval of action minutes from June 23rd, 2025 council meeting. Approval of the action minutes from June 30th, 2025 special city council meeting. Approve the WellCC special event license for Thunder Island Brewing Marine Park. Approve the WellCC special event license for Thunder Island Brewing at TIV. And ratification of bills in the amount of $754,700.29.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Okay.
So I did have discussion, I did have some questions, I did send this question in to Jordan, but I'm still not understanding. Our last amount of approved bills that. The last set of bills that we actually approved back in April. We did approve that check for now CFO. For $3,800 and $45.87, but the void here says 0. And to me, when I register a checkbook, I write a check and I void it, I have to add that money back into my checking account. So how is that 0?
That is part of the discussion you want to have with employee issues.
Okay, but that's not gonna impact your check register?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope, not at all.
And then on the minutes, we jumped around an awful lot at the last council meeting, but the minutes just reflect us following the original agenda. So is that an accurate reflection of the council minutes, or should it reflect how the actual order we went in, or that the minutes, I mean, and the agenda that we had in front of us?
That's up to you all, how you'd like it structured.
Because, I mean, if you have the minutes and you watch the meeting, there's not gonna be a correlation, because we jumped around a lot trying to make it.
Yep.
But each one was time stamped on should be time stamped and set to whatever the agenda item was.
Yeah, well, I guess, I mean, if it's not something that anybody's got a problem with, then I'll make a big deal out of it, but. Yeah,
That it?
yeah.
I think, I understand your point, I think it's a good reason why we shouldn't jump around like that, but that was.
No, I get that, but I mean, at the same time, when you read the minutes, that's not.
The way it flows here.
That's not what we said. So yeah.
Did you have anything, Mary, you raised your hand up? No? Anybody else, any more discussion?
Oh, wait, yes, I did. I'm sorry, I did. Thank you. Ow. Did you my move? Yes, I have a question. Couple charges, and they were charged to. I didn't mark it. Yes. They were charged to 012115, which I understand. On page 10. Which I understand is a party fund. And the party fund is. Contributed by the employees. It has nothing to do with city. Has nothing to do with the city financials, it has nothing to do with anything. So none of that money should be in our account. It's not how you handle it when it has nothing to do with city. It's a separate deal and it's separate that the employees do. And it's all cash, it's nothing that should be in the funds. And it wasn't that way 3 years ago. So it's been
It
changed.
wasn't this way.
No, it was, no.
This way 3 years ago.
It was up to the finance person or the city recorder to manage those funds separately in the safe. And when we needed a party, and when we needed money, we went to them, we gave them a receipt, and that's how we take care of it. It has nothing to do with city finance or city checking account. And I believe the auditors will have that issue, because it has nothing to do with us. So I recommend that we get it out of there and put it back where it was.
Pete.
Just so I understand, you're looking at the GL account.
Yes.
So that's an account that's just like, it's basically a petty cash or.
It should be called party fund. I don't know
It
what,
is, it's called employee.
party fund,
Yep.
Employee.
but the city does not contribute,
Where's the money come from? Because
the employees give it,
they contribute.
It's a deduction out of paychecks.
it's out of their paycheck. So it has nothing to do with city business.
Thank you.
But,
I guess I wanna hear from the city administrator, why is that showing up in our financials, at least in this report?
So the finance officer after Marianne, Dave Peterson, made that change. He did not feel having thousands of dollars sitting in the safe
I don't believe it was thousands of dollars.
was appropriate. He built it into an account, a GL code on the backside of our finance system, and it's accounted for. We process everything just like a check. It has so it's accounted for. It is, yes, it is employee money, but it's spent on employee related city functions.
Yes, it is, and we keep track of it on an Excel spreadsheet.
Can I just, what's going on, how much is in there now?
I couldn't tell you.
Does Kathy know?
No, I don't know.
But it's not thousands, is it?
I mean,
And
it's
we-
probably a couple thousand. or
Yeah,
something.
it's
It's
We don't-
been that way for 15 years, we don't always have parties. And spend it on those kind of things, but when we do, we need that extra money.
Tiffany.
And to me, it's important that it not be in here, because this is not city money, this is not money that the citizens pay into or our taxes pay into. This is a fund off the side. Because I mean, it looks like the citizens are paying for a party, when that's not reality, and it doesn't look good, and because, you know, this sort of thing would instigate, because we all went to the ethics thing, and any gift over $50 has to be claimed, it has to be reported. I mean, this just doesn't, I mean, this shouldn't, I agree with
Bernard.
So I'm not sure what the proper protocol is, but I trust our auditors. If the auditors say do that, then I would support that.
Yeah.
But they might say, no, keep it via Excel
Correct.
spreadsheet. That would be my request of council. Let's ask the auditor what the proper protocols for those funds, and then apply accordingly. That would be my request.
All right. All in favor of adoption of the consent agenda? Say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, adoption of the consent agenda passes, no opposes.
Can I say thank you? This is. Looks good, and it's, yes, thank you, Savvy, or, because, yeah, I mean, that was 2.5 months of. Yeah.
Back and forth, yes.
Yes.
All right,
Progress.
raise.
Appreciate it.
All right, now we're on to appearances of interested citizens to share on a variety of perspectives on issues faced in our community. Jim Dean, will you come up here, state your name and. Your resident, yes.
My name is Jim Dean, 830 Southeast Mountain View Drive. An issue has come to me that this one was out of the blue things. I think we have some serious problems in the cemetery operation and the information that we get. Where this evolved back in 1994, a resident of the city called my wife, said, bring your checkbook up to City Hall, they're gonna raise the lot rates at the cemetery. So she went up at that time, purchased 2 lots. Opening and closing of the graves, $200 each. So we had no reason to think anything about it until just recently, a couple of years ago, we decided we're gonna be cremated. We don't need 2 plots. An occasion came up where someone needed a lot, and we thought, well, let's see what we can do about furnishing one. So the first contact I had with the city, or we had with the city, was we were told that if it's sold, it has to go back to the city. And that there was, during the conversations, it was told that we could have a letter with the person's name who we wanted in that grave, one of those graves, but it would not be in their name. And all the receipt I have, all the information I have says purchase. It doesn't say we're renting a space, which is what was indicated to us. It said we're purchase a lot, you buy, whatever. There's nothing about renting a space. And also in this thing, in questioning some of their older people who've been in city council before, got a little more information. Do we have a cemetery superintendent? By your own rules, that's supposed to be done and approved by the city council. What I understand hadn't been done for years. We don't even have a superintendent. And it just really bothers me that we're told we can only sell it back to the city for what we bought it for. Not only that, but if we decide that we want to be buried at a future date, we pay the difference between the opening and closing that we paid for in '94 and the current rate. That's not what it says in the ordinance. The ordinance of 2017 says if you were paid in full prior to that date, there will be no future charges. There's a lot of problems that the city needs to be completely gone over, redone. I don't know what the answer is, but it's unfair to us to be told these things. And your regulations don't even do it. It says in one spot in here, you have to sell it back to the city. Why? And how can you sell a hole? Or a space? Which is what we were told. We have a receipt that says we bought 2 lots, 2 openings and 2 closings. And I don't know what the solution is, but it's something that definitely needs to be addressed. Because your rules don't even mean anything. They're not consistent. And it's and it's not something that comes up every day, but when I found this out, I'm 84 years old, I've been around a little bit, and I've never heard this kind of thing. And it just galled me that I'm told that, no, you can't sell it, except to the city. You can have somebody buried in it, but it won't be in their name. Now, what the hell point is that? So anyway, I'd like to see this addressed. And some solution to this, if you need some help with this, I am retired. And I'd be willing to help with it. But it's a serious problem as far as I'm concerned. And it needs to be addressed now.
Thank you for coming. There's no one online. Special presentations, we got Hood River County Sheriff's Office quarterly update.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Appreciate the opportunity to come this evening. So we just, started the new fiscal year like you did, and so it's been kind of a tough budget process. So we're seeing some fairly significant changes throughout our organization that's going to impact public safety services going forward, at least for this year, and probably beyond in some programs. So, as the community is probably aware, last November, the county ran the public safety levy renewal in November. It was overwhelmingly supported, 73%, over 73% countywide, which is great. So that really helps ensure like 24-hour coverage and investigators, our emergency management and court security functions. But unfortunately, as many of you have probably seen, the state is having some funding issues, and we've seen a lot about ODOT cuts that are coming and things like that because of failure to pass a transportation package. But one of our programs, parole and probation, also took a substantial hit across the state. So as of June 30th, we had to lay off 40% of our staff. It's not very big, that was 2 people, but in the last 3 budget cycles, we've actually laid off now a total of 50% of staff there, and also lost in-house peer mentor and drug and alcohol counseling that we had in-house. So one of the cuts was a probation officer that was a 20-year employee of the county, but because of the union contract, she lost her job, and then we lost our work crew. And there was a presence in Cascade Locks from our work crew. That was, a great way for people that had committed crimes to give back to the community. And it was our only jail alternative. So if somebody commits a probation violation, then there's an alternative to jail, and it's a productive way to do that. And that program is in existence for at least 30 years. So it's a real hit to the community and hit to our office. The other thing that's part of these cuts, and I won't take up too much time, but part of the parole and probation cuts, parole and probation is funded by The state in 1995 passed Senate Bill 1145, and that Senate bill basically gave parental probation to the counties. It was a state function. And the state said, we'll fund it at this baseline. Every 6 years, it's statutorily required that they do what's called an actual cost study. And so they look at what does it actually cost to supervise somebody. So this year, there was actual cost study done, and the recommendation was, listen, this prices have gone up exponentially. We've seen inflation, and the cost of doing business has gone up. And so this is the number that, we need to do this. And the legislature chose not to implement any of the cost study analysis. And so it was a $61 million shortfall, which, equates to layoffs across the state. And so there's definitely going to be impacts from that. But the funding is also tied to the amount of cases. And we've seen a steep decline in cases that we're getting that are prosecuted and that can be supervised. There's only certain types of cases that can be supervised, mostly felonies, and then a couple of misdemeanors that qualify. And so we've seen a decline, but there's been a decline across the state as well. So there's a couple different reasons for those cuts, and we don't know what it's going to look like going forward. It's a big hit across the state. I think the legislature is aware of it, so we're hopeful that maybe we'll get some funding reinstated, but it won't be until the short session in January or February. We also took a 30% cut in our Marine program, and that 30% of the Marine Board is funded through a federal grant through the U.S. Coast Guard. That grant could not be applied for because Oregon's designation as a sanctuary state. And so that money is off the table. And so every program across the state took a 30% hit. And what that means for us is we have a full-time Marine deputy. So we're going to have to go to basically 70%, actually a little bit less, because the funding that we got wasn't going to fully cover that position this year anyway. And so as a result, we had to eliminate another half-time deputy position that covered our U.S. Forest Service contract. And the Marine deputy is now going to cover Marine and the Forest Service contract, as well as we have an off-highway vehicle enforcement program, and we have a half-time deputy in there. And since 2021, the Sheriff's Office has managed a grant that's called Law Enforcement Mental Health and Wellness. It's a federal grant. And in the 2 grant cycles where we've been successful, we've been awarded over $300,000. We support the mental health of our first responders in Hood River and Wasco counties, and then also the Clickatack County Sheriff's Office. And so that pays for in-house mental health counselors, a peer support team, and then some exercise programs, wellness programs, and app that's available to all of the public safety first responders. This year, we're set to add the frontier counties, Sherman, Gillum, Wheeler, and we were notified 2 weeks ago that we can't apply for that grant either because Oregon's designated it as a sanctuary state. So unfortunately, that program is going to go by the wayside for the time being. Locally, the county was trying to find ways to impact PERS, and so about a third of our overtime budget was cut. And contrary to maybe the belief of some, overtime isn't necessarily desired by folks in public safety. It's a necessity. And so what we use our overtime for primarily is to cover shifts. When we passed the public safety levy in 2020, the commission at the time were very sensitive to what the voters would find palatable, and rightfully so. But we just got really the bare minimum in order to cover shifts. And so right now on paper, we're full staff, but we're actually down 3 patrol deputies because we've had 2 out on medical leave and 1 still in training. And so you've got to cover those shifts somehow. And the unfortunate reality is that you utilize overtime. And so we're gonna, I'm a bit worried what that's gonna look like going forward. We're gonna have to manage it really closely, and there's a chance that it's gonna impact services and some of the things that we do because we rely on having that budget and making sure that we can backfill in areas that we need to. Oregon has historically been ranked at the bottom of the nation. We were 50th at one point a couple of years ago in staffing ratios of law enforcement. And so, it's no surprise that you've got to utilize overtime when you don't have enough staffing in order to follow through on what you need to do. So our search and rescue funding is tied to the Secure Rural Schools Act, and it's Title III of that federal act. So our search and rescue, as you're probably aware, is really busy. We've been out recently with your fire department, who are phenomenal partners, by the way, and always have been. And our only funding in search and rescue outside of the occasional donation is that federal money. And as of today, it has not been renewed. So Congress needs to get on that. Hopefully, I know it went through the Senate recently, but then got kicked back because of some fiscal issues, and they took it out of the latest bill that passed. Latest funding bill, and so they have to revisit that. I was reading up on it today to ensure that nothing great had happened, and it hadn't. So, and then our emergency management program. So, as you're probably aware, like in the storm that we had a couple years ago, emergency management plays a huge role in the recovery and getting grants and getting your FEMA reimbursements together. Has played an even larger role in the last 10 years during my time as sheriff, because we've had so many disasters and emergencies. Eagle Creek Fire, of course, was huge, and so that role is absolutely critical in today's world. And so half of that program is funded by a grant called Emergency Management Program Grant, EMPG, and that comes through FEMA. It has not been cut, but it has not been reauthorized. So we started the fiscal year with basically a 50% cut. And so we're kind of scrambling to make sure that we can backfill that so that we have that service, because it's absolutely critical to all of our communities and, the mitigation and recovery. And our emergency manager has been doing a ton of work on community wildfire protection and working with a lot of communities. I think we have 9 Firewise communities now in Hood River County. He's been liaising with them, ensuring that the work's being done in communities, helping them obtain grants. There's an incredible amount of money that comes through emergency management, millions of dollars since I've been sheriff, that help our communities prepare for disaster. So, we're fingers crossed that hopefully something will happen at the federal level with that, but we are a bit concerned. So, not the best of news, but on a positive note, our patrol is intact and continue to patrol Cascade Locks. But Councilmember Seeger had been pretty wanted information on basically a resident deputy stipend, and so I had committed to looking at that, doing the negotiations with our union, and it was looked at. And what our county attorney determined is that the rate that we are providing right now is industry standard. And so there was no contract that he was aware of that was higher than that. Our max right now is $300 a month. And so there's a range in there, and that has to be approved by the city and the county. And so, that's something that we're certainly open to explore. If the city wanted to do something more than that, I think it would be open for discussion, but it's really, that's kind of where we're at with it right now. And the recommendation is that the city, and I talked to Mr. Bennett about it a little bit too, but if the city, wanted to explore that going forward, we could do an MOU with the law enforcement association and add that change. That's all I have to report right now, but I'm certainly happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, we have questions? Whatever.
So, let's see, I had a question. Alright, so I understand that the probation alternative punishment program is being terminated. That where you would take folks who did some kind of crime and then they get supervised to do this public service work. Did I understand that?
It's a community service.
Okay, is that different than the $61 million cut? Is that the same?
It was a result of,
State,
Yes.
okay.
yes,
So that was a federally funded program,
state,
a state funded program, okay, I got it.
yes.
All
Yeah,
right.
so some counties choose to provide additional funding for their probation divisions. Historically, Hood River County has not provided that because, and they're under no statutory obligation to do that because the state had committed to funding baseline. But because of the number of cases that we're now supervising, which have dropped substantially in the last several years, then it's fiscal reality is that it's positions because we were 261,000 shit going into the budget.
Yeah. Well, for what it's worth, I'm a huge fan of that type of project and
So are we.
program.
Yeah.
Is it safe to say if we could have some property tax reform at the state level and give the county more flexibility in managing y'all's property tax rate, we could entertain programs like that? Is that something that, your commission is working on or?
Well, that's, really measure 5 and measure 50.
Right.
We're pretty bound by that. And that's
Correct.
the reason that ultimately Hood River County had to go out for the public safety levy in 2020 is because we have
One of the lowest rates, right?
yeah, we're in the bottom 10. I think we were ninth at I think it was $1.41 a thousand, something like that. And so, there's not very many counties that are under $2 a thousand. But and the other unfortunate thing is because of funding structures in the state and property taxes, et cetera, it's generally the property owners that are in the bill for these things because there aren't other ways to generate revenue because the county hasn't looked and looked and looked. And the last commission, this commission, it's always a hot topic.
Right. And then regarding the creating, a stipend for a deputy living in town. So I thought that when we approved the contract last year, that we agreed we would pay up to, did we set a number, Mr. Bennett?
I don't remember off the top of my head. It sounds familiar.
300.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we did that, then
That's in the contract.
it is in the contract,
300,
okay.
yeah.
So is there something else that we would need to do to?
No, it's
create
just if
a
that's
position?
not sufficient, I think was my point. If
Yeah.
that's not sufficient.
I think when the sheriff and I discussed is that $300 isn't enough to really motivate somebody to move to Cascade Locks.
Gosh, when I look at the cost of buying a house, that seems like in combination with a $300 stipend, it seems like that could be real good motivation, but your point is that it needs to be a little higher to be have an effect measurable.
I'm not necessarily saying that, I'm just saying if the council wanted to explore that, we can make that happen.
Hold on just a second, Tiffany.
No, you can finish.
Yeah, so
finish.
on that question, do you know how many of your deputies are in rental houses in first responding? Do you know that off the top of your head? I mean, do you have some candidates in your mind that would love to own their house, but they're renting and,
I'll be honest, this crew that we have right now is pretty secure in housing. We do have a lot that live out of county. We have a lot that live either in Washington or in Wasco County. But I can't think of many off the top of my head that are looking for housing right now, which is different than we've seen before.
Than other folks,
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we've hired some more mature deputies, I guess, in the last several years that had jobs, other careers before. And so they were well established in the community, had careers here and families, houses, and so that was one of the hurdles that we had for many years was we couldn't afford to live there. And thankfully we found that piece again, so.
Tiffany.
Okay, so that, race, so how many of this, can you say how much of this, of your staff is out of county?
I don't have a number off the top of my
More
head,
than
it kind of
50?
fluctuates. It's probably like 40%.
And with all of these cuts, can you specifically say what the impacts are gonna be here to Cascade Locks?
Yeah, to the patrol, there's not going to be any impacts right now. The only concern, kind of like I said before, was managing that overtime budget and ensuring that we can cover our shifts. That's what the sheriff who's here with me tonight, we're concerned. I'm going to be watching that very closely. But it diminished our search and rescue capacity a little bit. It took a body off the road because we thankfully didn't have to lay another person off because someone retired in June and we just had to eliminate that position by attrition. But there's definitely going to be some impacts as far as the way that we supervise and parole and probation. Because we're down to one probation officer, and then the director and one person, one of our support staff. And so we've had to kind of reorganize our entire caseload. And we're going to make sure that it's as seamless as possible. But there's, definitely going to be some things here and there, because we have lost capacity. When you lose people, we've lost kind of that force multiplier in some situations.
It's kind of depressing news, so I appreciate you being here, but like a lot of the issues I want to talk about, it seem kind of minuscule in nature compared to some of the things you're having on, so, but thanks for coming. We've had citizens come before council and express concern about pedestrian safety in town and usually running some sting operations on that. Is that something where you might be able to get some support for that?
Yeah, that's a great question. We haven't done those for years, and there was funding, ironically through Audit, I believe, or is traffic safety funding that we had to do those operations. And certainly and we've heard it, we've had issues down here, especially in the summer where you've got lots of people crossing the street, people not paying attention. And so it's something that we're certainly open to looking at. Honestly, I don't know if this grant still exists. If it's something that the city would be interested in, we could potentially look at it. But one of the issues is those are usually funded by overtime. So we'd have to figure out how we.
I guess pedestrian safety and traffic are kind of intertwined here, and so that leads to the next conversation, which was about the traffic trailer that we have in town that I think is very effective when it's operational. Do you know why it's maybe not working at times?
Yeah, so it's not here. I know that they pulled it back to our county shops because there was an issue with it, so I'm not exactly sure. We have a couple of them. It is mostly powered by solar, so you can put them out for about 30 days. But I talked with one of our sergeants this afternoon and said that they were kind of trying to troubleshoot what the issue was with that. But I, certainly heard from the council, I've heard from the city administrator and from citizens about the desire to have that here and that it is appreciated. So we like to hear that and we're happy to deploy it.
And then just on a personal note, I reached out to just the non-emergency line about some people that were camped on the right of way along Fountains Road. Received a call back, I think within 20 minutes from the sheriff deputy that was here at the time. I think he's now no longer here. And he responded that they stopped and tagged those vehicles in case that they didn't leave when they committed to. And they were gone in a couple days. And I do believe that the reason why they left and took all their garbage with them was because of the fact that they realized that they'd been noticed and observed. And then I also asked about the camper that was kind of by the off ramp, it was on ODOT property. And they left. Did you pick up that garbage? Okay, I don't know who picked it up, but thank you for knowing that. But yeah, just my experience whenever I have reached out as a citizen to the sheriff's office has been nothing but positive, and just want to pass along that as well.
Well, I really appreciate that. That's good to hear, and that's what I expect. So.
I just have one question. I notice whenever I'm walking around and stuff in town, we have a lot of out-of-state plates, but they're parked for people that live here in Cascade lots. Or expired tags or no tags. Do we not do them anymore, or is it, I mean, as far as,
So if it's sitting on the
Enforcing.
road, that's an ordinance, a city ordinance, but if it's driving. Yeah, so you have to have a vehicle in motion
Okay.
to enforce the registration.
Okay. Alright, anybody else? But
For the record, it was me and Karen Wolf who cleaned up that spot. Thank you. But one other question, so, or a comment. We got our funding challenges, you know, a shocker. And hearing all your things, Councilmember Happy is a bit depressing. But we're putting together a food and beverage tax. I'm not sure, did you guys go for one of those once?
In 2019.
And it
Yes,
failed.
Yes.
How bad did it fail?
I don't recall. It was probably maybe by 6-8 points.
Okay.
But at the time, the county was really in dire straits as far as the budget went. And so there was actually two measures that went at the same time. So I think that was really difficult. But both of them funding measures, one was a levy, and one was the food and beverage tax.
Right.
But I know that there has been a food and beverage tax somewhere west recently that passed, I heard about.
Most recent one is Cannon Beach, I think in 2001 or 2020. It was within the last 5 years.
Yeah.
any other questions? No, thank you for all you guys, everything you guys do.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate
Thank you, Sheriff.
Moving on, we have North Wasco County PUD Executive Team.
Good evening.
Good night.
I'll try to brighten up the council. Thank you for the invitation to come for our news with you. And then Mayor Wood, and then I'll call you Mr. Bennett, but it's going to default to Jordan probably.
All good. Yeah.
Okay. First, I wanted to introduce the folks that are brought with me. It's not just me. I'm Roger Klein, the General Manager and CEO of Northern Wasco County People's Utility District. And with me, I have three of our elected board of directors. We can just wait on this. And then most of our executive staff. So thanks to them for taking their time out of their evening to come with me to share with you. You want to run the slides or do you want me to?
Nope. We got it.
Okay.
Yep.
You want to do it that way or actual presentation? However you guys want to do it.
We don't do this often enough. We struggle every time.
Okay. It's fine. Just next slide is great.
We'll do that. That works.
And we can go next. Thank you. Again, Northern Wasco County People's Utility District. We're one of 6 electric utilities here in Oregon. We are just like you, and we are a public power provider. My bosses, the board of directors, made up of 5 folks that are elected from the community that they serve. They hire me as the general manager, and then I staff the organization to meet the needs of our communities. And I'll emphasize the word community because that's who we work for. We are not a taxing entity, but through rates, we recover the cost to operate the utility. We have been in existence since 1939 and first provided electric service to the community of the Dalles in Wasco County in 1949. So like any good public effort, it takes a little while to get the voters motivated and put the infrastructure in place and go get your municipal bonds and start to execute the mission of your organization. Our mission specifically is to be the utility service provider powered by, and they're going to correct me later, but focused on the communities in which we serve. And that language is very specific to what we call our ethos, our mission of public power, being an excellent provider of services to the community. when we came in tonight, you guys were finishing up your work session on water rates. And a lot of those things are similar to electric rates. In fact, PUDs in Oregon are authorized and chartered for water and electricity both. And we're even moving into the broadband space because there is a community need. The citizenry in our area currently only has one choice, and they deserve better, just like your citizens do. We saw outside you have some electrical infrastructure equipment, right? So a line truck and maybe a digger derrick. Those probably haven't been regularly utilized as of late, but there's always an opportunity. So what we're going to share with you tonight, much like the sheriff did, your relationship with the Hood River County Sheriff is through an intergovernmental agreement. So two elected bodies coming to an agreement to serve the needs of your community. And that is something that we'll talk a little bit more about as the presentation goes on. Some of the questions that Jordan shared with me today are our current customer count. So we say that we serve 25,000 people, and we do that through 10,500 meters. Of those meters, approximately 7,900 of them are residential. So just folks like, you know, me and my neighbors, just like you guys. We do have a large primary or industrial load as well as some irrigation. Someone asked about budget. We're a calendar year budget, so we're halfway through our year, and our 2025 budget is about 182 million of OpEx and another 6.8 million of capital. Next slide, please. And again, why we think we're the right partner for the city of Cascade Locks. Like you, we are community focused. The folks that come to your meetings are similar to the folks that come to our meetings when they have a need or a desire. High reliability, low cost, public service, ensuring we're communicating early and often, and a sense of responsiveness to our community. Our reliability and uptime is world-class, award-winning. The amount of outages that a community member has is minimal compared to the national average, and our rates are some of the lowest in the state as well as in the nation. We are the only Oregon utility that has the American Public Power Association smart energy provider. So whether it's our conservation programs to help people save energy and save money, or the different ways that we offer billing services or carbon-free energy products and services, we meet the needs of the community that owns us. And again, are the only one in Oregon that's been recognized with that award. Are you guys familiar with the Reliable Public Power Provider certification, the RP3, as APPA members? You guys are APPA members, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So every few years, we'll call it 3 years, you can self-submit to a panel of industry experts, your reliability statistics, your plans, how you take care of your people, how you do your financial investments, and you are essentially ranked to a standard. We have consistently achieved the top 2 scores you can get, 96 and 98 points out of 100, to ensure that we are providing those benefits to our community. Financial strength, that I reiterated the operational excellence. From a strategic advantage for both the PUD and the city, we have grown more than doubled in the last 10 years, and rising tide lifts all boats. So our ability to bring on staff, have a world-class culture, and positive performance of our organization allows us the freedoms and the support of our board of directors to offer these services to others. And I'll dig into that further if you could go to the next slide, please. Community focus. Whether it's staff or contractor community, we do things through some outside contractors as well as in-house staff. Being part of our community, whether it's taking up and putting down holiday lights or supporting local teams. Most recently in the boardroom, we had the Dallas robotics team, and they've actually competed at the world level with the robotics, and it's important for us to be supporters of STEM education in our community. And that's just a great example of things that we can do in the community to kind of grow our own in the future, right? We offer scholarships for kids going off to secondary education, whether it's college or technical school, anything that points to a connection to the utility. So as you guys know, public works is important, accounting and finance are important, engineering are important, your legal, I'm trying to remember everybody who's behind me, make sure I so just being a good steward of those public resources, ensuring that those needs are met. That's important to us and our board of directors. Next slide, please. Further emphasis on those RP3 scores. Diamond and platinum are the top two, and we have consistently been there since 2016. Very proud that we received one of the 100 best nonprofits to work for from our staff. That's a kind of a blind survey, and I wasn't allowed to participate. And staff shared their feelings on their workplace and the culture, the benefits, the compensation, and we came in number 21 out of the large employers category. Next slide, please. Financial strength, and we played the audience here a little bit. You guys happen to be right next to us, but you know, a little emphasis of color there for good presentation. We are currently the second lowest, but in 2026, Class 9 PUD will pass us. So then we'll be the lowest in the state on a cost per unit basis, kilowatt hours. I did notice on your residential rates that you have a kind of an in-town rate versus an out-of-town rate.
Correct.
We've chosen to meld those. Most of our customers are more urban customer owners in the heart of the Dalles or Dufur or Wamak or Ty Valley. But because that number is so much larger than the ones on the kind of spur line, we were able to meld that and did that as just a business decision, not to have one customer class cross subsidize another, because we don't do that. The board of directors has been very clear about that, but just as another way to bring value to the community. Next slide, please. Hopefully this resonates with you. Small periodic rate adjustments versus large whips. In 2017, we had one of those large whips, and it was because there hadn't been a small incremental for the decade prior. And as everyone here knows, if you don't take care of things as they go along, it doesn't feel good later. And I shared that our electric plant and growth, so size and growth value. 2016, the electric plant depreciated value was 74 million. Today it's about 142 million. We're going to add about another 10 million to that in 2025 when we bring on our next transmission system. Interestingly enough, even with that 11% increase in 2017, our rate of change has been below CPI or below the consumer price index. And for us, that's more than just a talking point. We recognize that there are still plenty of members of our community that are on a fixed income, whether it be Social Security or retirement, and their increases tend to follow CPI. So as long as we're not drastically increasing past CPI, those are more tolerable to the end user. And again, we have a complete rates team within the organization that does cost of service analysis, as well as over time, Jordan and I have shared some phone of friends to help with those harder decisions. So I'm glad that has worked out. Next slide, please. Infrastructure renewal. The American Society of Civil Engineers every 2 to 3 years produces an infrastructure report card. And if you want to get bored and Google things later, that's a great one to Google, the infrastructure report card. Just an excerpt from the state of Oregon's infrastructure card. We all get a C-. And in the energy space, statewide, we also get a C-. The tough part is wastewater is at a D, stormwater is at a D, dams are at a D. So for all of us that live along a river and own some water systems and things like that, we're very mindful of that. But for me, being the electric utility nerd, what I look at the energy space, and it's more than just electricity and infrastructure, and you dig down deep into the details, it really talks about that rate of capital reinvestment and what rules of thumb you utilize from either your reliability indices or your investment versus depreciation. So a good rule of thumb is about 1.2 times depreciation. Reinvesting it back into your plant tends to keep you on straight and narrow. What you don't want for your electric plant is to be below 50% depreciation. I don't know where you guys are. I wasn't gonna dig into your books that far. Just know that when we came on as the leadership team of our organization, it was, 35 to 40%, because the only target was rates. There wasn't a reliability indices overlay or organizational culture or, all the other ones that we track today. Today, we're about 63%, and that's partially due to some of the photos you see up on the screen, rebuilding old stuff and building new stuff. And those are the technical terms for big herky. But as an example, you guys are a heavily tree infrastructure area. So your vegetation management, your wildfire mitigation, whether to underground or not to underground, recognizing that if you do underground, you have to have different widgets and different skill sets within your team to ensure that those needs are met, so you can safely and reliably put it back together when it does fail. We have a lot of underground in our system today. Some of it's direct buried, some of it's in conduit. But again, those are different skill sets that you grow in your organization over time to deal with those things. For every new thing that you build, you need to start thinking about what happens as it degrades. So that's all I'll say about the infrastructure report card and infrastructure renewal. Service capabilities and experience. Most recently, there was a catastrophic wildfire in Rowena, and folks are aware of that. And as tragic as it was, so thankful that there was no loss of life. And of the loss of 90 buildings, many of them had their electric meters on them, whether it was a home or a well house. And as we were driving through and inspecting the field, what we were very proud to note was in some of the areas, the only thing standing was the utility infrastructure. So we weren't a cause of the fire, which is the big takeaway. And just that preparedness, that fire mitigation work that we did, whether it's wrapping poles or using non-explosion fuses or having, smart devices out in the field that we could de-energize in short order at direction and support of the fire department. But when push comes to shove, we're all in the incident, right? Those are some of the things that we were very proud of with regard to the services that we were able to provide. We even have staff today that are embedded in the incident team as the safety officer and as the public information officer, so folks can get some time off. And that's what's part of, for us, the value of being a community asset, where we can be members of the incident team or supporting the county and the fire service and ensuring that the needs of our communities are met. Administrative bench. I noticed the 10-year master plan for your electric system. That was what, 2014, so maybe
So, yeah.
so some of those conditions might have changed since then, but we do the same thing. We do an outside independent view and overlay that with our internal analysis. I think we have 5 professional engineers on staff today, some electrical, some mechanical, some both, and ensuring that the lens that we look through matches the independent third party, and that's how we risk-based prioritize our capital reinvestments. And those are the type of services that we can help the city with too. I think I hit off the highlights there. Next slide, please. So distance, this one came up a lot. It is almost to the 10th of a mile, the same drive from our headquarters to here as it is from our headquarters to the southern point of our service territory in Wamak. But at least here we have an interstate and 2 lanes. It can get a little sleepy on the road heading south in the line truck. So again, this would not be too far afield for us. There was a question about where folks live, and I heard you talking to the sheriff about kind of forward deploying folks. Cost of living keeps going east, housing prices and things. So we experience that same challenge. We have folks within a 30-minute response time, a 40-minute response time to our headquarters, and then depending on the season, sometimes we send folks, the on-call folks, home with utility vehicles to shorten that response time. Where we've actually spent most of our planning and resources, though, is in the prevention space. So whether it's wildfire mitigation or vegetation management or smart infrastructure, whether they be meters or other widgets out on the system, is to detect and ensure that the outage doesn't happen in the first place, which gives us a little more leeway on the response time. Anecdotally, we have a journeyman lineman who lives in the river and one that lives in White Salmon. And they don't care if they turn left or right when they get the call in the middle of the night, that doesn't make a difference to them. But again, whether it's engineering or customer service, we do have 24-hour phones because we use a cooperative response center, a utility-only call center. We can do a lot of stuff remotely through smart device or supervisory control of data acquisition, SCADA. They don't let me do anything cool with the buttons, but they have them.
Probably a smart idea.
Yeah, exactly. And the next slide. Essentially why we're here, because of our growth, because of the opportunities that has presented, each year we have 1 or 2 dock crews to supplement our own in-house crew. We have 7 linemen today, I believe, journeymen plus 3 apprentices. Plenty of work to do, but yet that growth and that renewal, that $7-10 million a year in capital spend, we still bring in doctors. You know one of the guys pretty well because he lives in your community, Alan. We're right at that point whether we keep having dock crews or we just add 1 more full-time one ourselves. So this would be one of those decision points where if we were in an intergovernmental agreement with the city of Cascade Locks, I would feel comfortable going to my board asking for the increase in staff just to ensure that we have those same coverage responsibilities. Those guys go hunting and fishing a lot. So making sure you have those coverages done, right? Because even though we're maybe a few years ahead of the infrastructure renewal and just making sure that we have the right tools and plans in place for talent attraction and retention and training and all that, we're still a public body. We still have the same needs as you guys. It's a ever competitive job market. And whether you receive a stipend to live in town A versus a retention award to live in town B, and we're all in competition with the investor owners. And that's just the reality that we face. And I think it would be better to face it together than individually. Next slide, please. And interestingly enough, that same APPA organization. So this is the Guide to Utility Operational Excellence. Essentially, it's a guide that lets Jordan and I know, like, hey, if there's a best practice for you to adopt, what's a couple? For us, it's consider sharing technical positions with other utilities, other public power utilities. For you guys, it could be investigate potential savings from joint action partnerships with other public power entities. So it's even a best practice, Jordan. Again, we've done this before. The Dalles Irrigation District is a separate governmental entity within our community that feeds irrigation water to one of our key business sectors in our county is irrigation, the cherry industry. If not but for us helping them with their electrical infrastructure, they're really good at pumps and water. But those pumps have to be energized. Like, apologies for my smirk when the sheriff was talking about the solar powered speed widget, because we live in Oregon and it's winter here and the sun doesn't always shine, right?
Yeah.
People still tend to want reliable electricity. So that's why we're not 100% dependent on solar. Thank goodness the river flows. And Q-Life, that's our partnership with Wasco County, the city of the Dalles, and the PUD to provide broadband services. And more on that soon. From a city perspective, the city of Hermiston, one department of the city is the electric department, and it has 1 employee. And Nate has a contract with Umatilla Electric Cooperative, which is a different business than we are as a PUD. We do everything in the public space and follow the same public meeting laws you do, and all of our board packets and all of our governance documents on our website, and free to review those, which is what I appreciate is we're almost held to a higher standard because we do everything public facing. And much like your IGA with the sheriff's office, you can tailor it to meet the needs of your community, whether you have a $1 per year spend limit or whether you have a service requirement. We're open to the conversation and discussion and negotiations. Are folks familiar with ORS 190? That is the intergovernmental agreement doctrine, is that the right word? She's not throwing anything at me, so okay. Enable agencies to consolidate overlapping or duplicate services, reduce administrative and overhead costs, sharing of equipment, facilities, and personnel, increase access to specialized expertise, experience, and equipment, improve service delivery, extend service reach to areas or populations that might otherwise be underserved. That's kind of why I get out of bed in the morning, are those opportunities for electric service in our communities. We have multiple communities, Cascade Locks could be one more. Next slide, please. Strategic vision alignment. This is our 2025 strategic plan. I read from it just to make sure. Be the leader in delivering reliable, affordable utility services guided by and accountable to the communities we serve. And for those that are Oregon Constitution buffs, that guided by and accountable to language is a copy paste. Because that is our motivation. It's that provision of essential services. We all learned, I think, during COVID, that if you're at home, you want clean water, reliable power, high-speed broadband. We've got one of those nailed down, working on the second one, the third one's not too far off. Next slide, please. And this one, I'll just say we took some creative license with your strategic plan and ours and made it look the right way, I think. What's important to you is important to us. What you guys are focused on in your plan is pretty close to what we're focused on in our plan. And I think there's just a lot of, my favorite word, synergy there. Next slide, please. What's in it for you? Those things. You get some people that are all utility nerds that do this for a living all day, every day. We're not kind of doing the roads and taxes and all the other fun stuff you guys get to do. We are in the utility space 24/7, 365, or as Kurt reminds me, 8,760 hours a year. Cost-effective professional services. We're not in the for-profit business. We're in the cost recovery business. Proven operational excellence. I showed you some of our accolades and awards. And then those emergency response capabilities. I think Rowena was an excellent example. I'll leave it at that. Absolutely. So the back of the napkin business case, a working foreman IBEW is about $150K a year without overtime unloaded. Are you guys PERS?
Yes.
So add to that, a journeyman lineman, 130,000-ish. Utility director, I saw you put 95. Good.
Yeah, I know.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So again, round it all up, that's $500,000 a year. And you hadn't bought a conductor or replaced a pole yet.
Yep.
So just a bunch of public service to another bunch of public service is, I think we can do better than that and be responsive to your needs if that's the path you guys want to go down. And last slide is mostly for you guys. The American Society of Civil Engineers kind of gives us the state of the world today. APPA kind of gives us the best practices. Our strategic plan gives us the instrument and the support from our board to do it. And it's really the IGA is the instrument that can get it done. I appreciate your time. So hopefully I didn't go over my allotted time. You guys did a good job keeping it warm in here, so I wouldn't keep talking.
Not on purpose.
Yeah. Any questions?
Questions, Tiffany?
So a couple of slides back, you said modern solutions for efficiency. Can you give some examples?
Please. In 2015, 2016, we still read meters by hand. Today, multiple times a day, we get file uploads. I can get real-time notifications on the app on my phone of outages. I can report outages. I can pay my bill. I can get all the information that I want. So advanced meter infrastructure used to be, if there were wildfire concerns, we would have to roll trucks to go turn protective devices into a different safety mode. Folks with more qualifications than me can do it remotely now.
So is that 5G meters? Is that what you're?
We have AMI meters that they are part of a mesh network and they use Jeff's in the back of the room to tell you the specific technology.
And then also, okay, so you have a 5-person board and you serve how many communities?
City of the Dalles, Dufer, Wamek, Ty Valley today.
So is somebody from each of those communities represented on the board?
Our board of directors, we take the total number of customers served and divide it by 5 geographically by a map, and then every 2 years, 4 years, every election cycle, we get an update from the county office that why is it escaping me? That handles the elections office, and if we have to move a border to ensure an equal number of representation across the subdivisions in a PUD, there are subdivisions, and we try to keep equality across the representation. So no one board member has a larger footprint than another.
So you're saying you appoint board members to represent different sections, but not necessarily the board members don't necessarily come from that area.
They live in the area where they are represented from. Their constituency is their subdivision.
And then earlier you said something about the suburbs, you don't charge different rates.
Correct.
Have you looked at how we have South Bank and Cascade Locks, and how have you looked at that and
From a
does this-
from a periphery, but ultimately that's your guys' decision. These are your customers in your constituency. We would essentially be through the intergovernmental agreement, like a contractor to you. Just much like the sheriff's office provides your law enforcement services, that you dictate your city ordinances. I guess unless it's a state law or some sort of federal law that they enforce, but city decisions remain with the city. We wouldn't be, and let me reemphasize that for clarity, we would not be taking over anything, we would be a service provider to you. I suppose unless you wanted us to help you with rate studies and coming up with a path forward, we can do those things too. But at the end of the day, we would just be the folks that you call when you needed help with your electric system.
Council would still set the rates. We'd still read the meters. We'd collect the money. We would call them when there's an outage or we want work done, we would call them. They'd invoice us, just like any other contractor.
Correct.
And we would still be the buyer from Bonneville. You guys
Yes.
are in the middle of that.
Yeah.
We're a wholesale customer.
Yep.
Just like you guys are, and
Right, Bonneville still provides 30%-ish of our load service.
Only 30, really.
oh, okay.
Say that again.
We are not we are a full requirements customer of Bonneville, but they do not meet all of our energy needs.
And then when we're done, I'd like to hear if Derek has any questions.
Okay, anybody else have any questions? But
So, out here in our forest area, looks a lot different than Wasco County. We have a very high need for underground utility. We've done some work out in the South Bank we got about 8 miles done in the last, call it 15 years, but we need more done. When near Eagle Creek, it's a mess out there. And then, it'll be my hope that we either underground or come up with an alternative energy system for the 5 customers or 7 customers we have out in Wyeth. There's not many customers out there, but we have to maintain 6 miles of lines,
Almost a microgrid.
Part of me says, yeah, let's get them on solar and gas generators and just take those lines down completely. But so one of the questions I sent a few questions the administrator sent on you. I mean, how much have you done like a sophisticated undergrounding project? You got to work with the railroad and ODOT. They're very complex, pain in the butt project. If we said, hey, we love what you're doing now, underground these lines, and tell us about your experience doing that.
We would ask to do the analysis again, most likely, or see what the engineering analysis was that was done, and then kind of put the pencil sharpener to it. Because part of that consideration is, do you have the skill set within your organization to now care for the underground conductor and all the pieces and parts and widgets that are involved with that? So did you remedy one problem for another? Or have you considered that, a different type of conductor, tree wire that's, got the insulation on it, or have you decided about a more aggressive vegetation management approach that would alleviate some of those things? So we would just ask you to likely, just knowing our folks, we'd start over a little bit and say, okay, this is the current state and this is the desired to be state and what's the most efficient path to get there. So what have we done underground? Sure. Is working with those different entities, including the National Scenic Area and the Gorge Commission sometimes. Also problematic, yes, when we are opportunity rich, I'll just say. We've gone back with a couple iron poles in a lot of those areas, changed the type of conductor, the pole heights, the path that it took, the full gamut.
Okay. Let's see. Next one was. You answered that one. So, look, I mean, I've shared this with council when we were introed, the idea that you guys might come and visiting us. As someone who's here to try to create the most efficiently run city, I'm very open to IGAs like this. I did work in Shoreline, Washington, and our entire police department was run by King County. And, we had a bunch of finance whiz who ran the numbers. Should we do our own or contract it? Every time they ran the analysis, contracting was by far the better value for the community. So I'm very open to this idea, and, we'll see how the rest of the council feels it. But again, like anybody, I would want to do my due diligence. We have those PUC inspections, annual inspections. I would love to see y'all's report. How do you guys perform when you get your, what does that look like? Are you getting dinged a lot, or is it a pretty clean report? I've seen that some of ours, we've got our issues. I would love to see, your last report, just what it's worth.
Yes, and our reliability again is world class, and those folks are in the business of finding stuff.
I know they are.
So there's a good relationship there. It's a checks and balance. We outsource our full inspection and treatment. So we do 10% at a minimum per year to cycle through every 10 years.
Sure.
And we're probably a little more aggressive than that. And we use that data to feed forward our operations budget, and then where appropriate, further feed into the capital. So of course we can share what the lawyer and the COO haven't said anything yet, so we can transmit what's appropriate, or at least in summary form. And yeah, we're a public body, everything's open.
So yeah, I'd be interested in that. And then as far as, an example or a model, so I understand Hermiston has their electric utility, and they contract out with Umatilla, Pete, is it?
Co-op.
Co-op.
It's a co-op.
Okay. And so that's kind of the arrangement. I would love to see, for Mr. Bennett, unless you have that agreement, I would love to see that and review it, and then see what their cost is. I mean, at the end of the day, we've got our city-wide budget. I know what that is. So
Right.
When you look at it, you kind of have a cost per customer. It's a very simple, basic metric, but that's kind of, I want to do an apples and, orange, apples to apples comparison. If what's Hermiston paying for their electric services compared to what we're paying for ours, and to kind of as a start point, but I can't help it. Have you approached other utilities and tried? Or are we kind of the only one in town? I guess there's not many that close to you.
Well, we've had conversations with other entities for those 3 utilities that I talked about: water, power, broadband.
Right.
So we've started to have conversations with other public bodies that provide those.
Right.
So in the water business
But
specifically.
as far as electric, you're
Right.
yeah. And
Well, because you're the only other public power utility that's within our
got it.
circle of comfort.
Might be a good point of clarification. We didn't approach them seeking, so they approached us.
Right. Nuance. Right.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, again, as much as I'm, very focused on efficiency, I always also believe in process, and I think even if we found you guys to be a credible potential partner, I would want to go out maybe for a request for proposal or a request for, a bid from anybody, who wanted to take this on. I mean, I'm not sure if Skamania County PUD could do something similar to what your guys proposing, but they're even quicker. And the reality of our calls is, a lot of it's on South Bank, Multnomah Falls in the middle of the winter, that's when they'll get those emergency calls quite a bit. And because, our in town is just not that vulnerable, but out there in the woods, it's problematic. So it's gonna be at more than 39 miles for all those emergency calls. It's gonna be, add another, 12 to 20. So, anyway, I just wanted to tell you that if council agreed, I would be, advocating for a formal process to seek out a proposal. And then we'll see who, makes the best case.
For us, one of the advantages of the intergovernmental agreement is it's devoid of those things. So, I work for a board, and if they tell me that we would respond to an RFO or RFP for something like that, I'm sure we'd have a conversation. And we were asked to come, so take that as you will.
Tiffany?
Yeah, so you were asked to come here. How did this all come about?
Well, I originally reached out just about engineering services, and the discussion kind of evolved from there. About what other service they knew our issues with lack of staff and contracting work, and like I said, they're looking to build their crew, and it kind of went from there. Ran it by the mayor and got it on the agenda.
Do you have more questions?
But I'd like to hear if Derek has any questions.
Can I ask one more?
One
Yeah.
more. Well,
So if you said that you're kind of at that tipping point on whether you bring on board one more crew or what did you call it, a spot?
Doc.
A dock, okay.
So in industry lingo, when you have a busy construction season and it's greater than your existing staff, you would bring on a dock, like loading dock
I got it.
crew.
Okay.
And we tend to average 1 or 2.
And that's kind of just temporary arrangement and then it disappears.
Correct.
Okay, so, I assume you've looked a little at our electric utility. When I was here as the administrator, we had 4 people running this utility. And that felt right, given what they were doing and all the work that was required to keep this thing in decent shape. That seemed to fit. Is it your kind of estimation that we're talking basically committing a crew to Cascade Locks if we enter this contract?
I hate the answer, but it depends. It
Right.
depends on the needs of the organization at the time, your current infrastructure state, the kind of the health and readiness of what you currently have.
Yeah.
The fact that you're still out there reading meters, I'm not sure if there's enough automation to give you the information that you need. I don't even know if you're keeping reliability indices. And that's not a criticism, that's just the reality.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have questions? No? Alright. I think we're good.
I think you're.
Derek, did you have questions?
Actually, I do. I'm kind of curious to what the difference would be if we partnered with you versus what we're currently doing.
Responsiveness, quality of work, and I think, and Derek, I'm assuming you're the.
Yeah, I'm the one power guy here.
The one.
So taking clearances, being able to use the hot stick, just all the stuff that has to be part of day-to-day line work. You work with our guys versus the contractors if and when they are available.
Mhm.
I'm guessing, and this is I hate groupthink, this is off script. When the contractors come, it's typically an emergency situation, and the rate tends to be double time, I would presume.
Yep, usually. Yep.
Usually,
I like doing stuff Tuesday morning, not Saturday night,
Yep.
midnight. Right, so we schedule work, we're very purposeful and thoughtful. We want to ensure your safety and that of your community, and this is what we do all the time. We tend to be friends and neighbors, and that's part of that public power value. I appreciate the opportunity to come share with you. Thank you, again to the elected body and Jordan?
And Jordan has questions.
I have lots of questions, but for if this moves forward, but one for tonight, the emergency response or on-call services. In your guys' experience, how often does a storm hit both the Dalles and Cascade Locks? That I can tell, never.
They get past you, Ambrose River.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ourselves.
Yeah, we find out when 84 closes.
Yeah. Okay, that's kind of what I thought. I just wanted to confirm. And then my question for council is we just approved a budget. I put out recruitment for 2 new linemen. I don't want to hire 2 people and then we enter this IGA in 3 months. So I'd like some direction, I guess. Do we take this conversation further? Do I meet with their executive team? Where does council want? I know it's kind of a lot to put on you guys. Where does council want to go with this? Do we want to?
You want me to give you a parachute?
Yes, please do.
Why don't you take
Yeah.
60, 90 days and recruit and just see what you get, if any.
Okay.
And then come back to your bosses and then home.
Are you open to going deeper into this discussion while that recruitment's going on? So it's more of a seamless transition?
Of course.
Okay. All right.
I mean, this is a big to do if council is gonna transition our services to, contract for service arrangement. And we need we need a workshop
Yeah.
to, again, I wanna see a Hermiston's agreement, I'd like to see several agreements on what these look like, what the costs are. Before I can, make any, take on what's best for our utility. And I agree, my direction, the city administrator said, move forward with the hirings. And, if we get these guys hired and we decide to think, in theory, that person can maybe fold into them, it's not like. I've seen, contractors absorb existing
Yeah.
staff. And then that becomes part of the organization, so I think there's a lot of options, but we need a more in-depth conversation. on
Yeah,
that.
more information.
I appreciate the opportunity. Didn't want to make it awkward for you or for your council. Just know that we're down the road.
Yep.
And we already have an existing mutual aid agreement. So if push comes to shove and we can help.
Yep.
We'll be here.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you,
day.
guys.
Thanks for a lot.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
All right, fire and EMS department update, Chief Logan.
Ball back in here and go. So I provided Jordan with a couple tables, charts. The first one, we'll talk about. What's the right one? It's calls per month. And so far through June, we're at 129 calls for service, and you can kind of see them all, or 189 calls for service, 129 of them have been within Cascade Locks' normal response area. Out of those calls, 136 of them have been medical, 44 of them have been fire, and we've done 1 transfer from the River Hospital to a Portland Hospital.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. I'm just like, I'm trying to find what. I'm like, my eyes are very body.
Yeah, right here, I think it's number 3.
Yeah, that's
Just
better.
one question,
Yeah.
though. Can we get this bigger
Yes,
and not so dark blue that you cannot see the black?
yes.
Is it possible to put it up on the big screen? I see Bernard's
Yeah, I mean,
got
I've
it
got
on
the
his.
one from the staff report.
Yeah, it's better on the computer for sure than the things that are.
Okay, I didn't mean to
Yeah,
interrupt.
I'll pull this one off of the, watchdog.
I didn't want to interrupt either, but.
I want to
My
go
glass,
follow along.
it's hard to see.
Yeah. It should make me feel a
You're not
hundred how hot
filming,
it
right?
is.
It's not flipped.
Yes.
Go and bring up the.
While we're making
Packet for
next
tonight.
question.
Yeah, you can ask a
On
question.
that, on the 129 calls for Cascade Locks, do you know, are those Cascade Locks residents only? Okay, so do you know what the percentage?
That's the next,
That's the next
Okay.
one.
All right, thank you.
that's in Cascade Locks, that's like.
Yeah, but-
Right, that's
Geographical
our-
location.
Geographical ASA for Hanover County for Cascade Lock Dog. That includes the city and outlying areas within Hanover County that are in our ASA.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, Kathy.
You rock, Kathy.
Not hard enough to do it from.
Yeah, yeah.
Not there yet.
There it is.
Now, make it
I
big,
don't know how.
Perhaps you can-
You can zoom in on that.
yeah,
I don't know.
shift plus sign. or-
Yep, controller shift.
even bigger.
Way bigger.
Even
Let's
bigger,
just look at that top table.
Even bigger, and then we can, you know, there you go, thank you.
Oh, bigger.
Perfect.
There we go. Can I make it bigger? Can we have there?
Maybe glass.
Yeah, where are your glasses there, Pete?
Get the eyes checked.
Uh.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so through the end of June, 189 calls of service. 129 of those were within Cascade Locks and our associated ASA within Minerva County, which goes all the way to Viento State Park and then all the way to the county line. Then we responded 16 times for mutual aid requests in Skamania County. We did 18 so far for the rest of Minerva County. So that's structure fires where we move up an ambulance, or we took a fire engine to a structure fire, or they were just the rest of the county was just out of ambulances, so we moved up to cover the whole county with our ambulance. Then 26 of those calls were within Multnomah County contract, which is from the county line to just east of Multnomah Falls. We don't cover Multnomah Falls. And then so far, we haven't gone to Wasco County yet, but I'm sure this month and next month we will be there a bunch. Out of those 189 calls, 136 of them were medical, which is 72% of our total call volume. 44 of those were fire-based calls, so that's anything that's not medical. So it's 23%. We've done one transfer from Hanover Hospital to a Portland area hospital for 0.5% of our calls. And then through June, we've done 8 trail rescues, which is 4.2% of our total call volume. So each month I break it down so I can track kind of where we're going, where we're at, medical versus fire, how many transfers we've taken, how many trail rescues, because that seems to be a hot topic in our area is trail rescues. And as the sheriff alluded, we work very closely with the sheriff's office on those, which is phenomenal. And then the next one is our resident versus non-resident calls from 23 or 22, 23, and 24. So for our total fire calls, 70% of those were non-residents that have called 911 to report a car fire or something along the freeway that's fire based. And 28% of those were residents. In 2023, again continuing the same trend, about 70% of our fire-based calls were non-residents, and 30% were residents. And then 2024, very similar story. 71% of those calls were non-residents versus the 28% of residents. And on the medical side, in 2022, 64% of our total medical calls were for non-residents, where 36% were for residents. And then it's pretty similar story in the next 2 years. So if you look at all the calls together for those years, we're roughly 65% of our total call volume is for non-residents versus the 33 to 35% for residents. Any questions about those two charts before I kind of give you just a general update? So over the, I guess I haven't been here this year yet, have I? Nope. So over this year, a lot of things that happened at the fire department. You guys all know we lost Miranda recently. Since the last 2 weeks, I've done 2 interviews with a possible third application coming in this week. So I'm hoping to make a decision of who I want to go with this week or first part of next week. So that's exciting to be back to full staffing, which alleviates me from covering weekend shifts to make sure we have a staffed ambulance. Another big thing that's happened, recently we invited Oregon OSHA in to do a consultation. And basically it's a voluntary program where we ask them to come in, sit down with us and they kind of walk through what an inspector would be looking for when they walk into your building. And then it gives you a 90-day grace period to where an inspector can't walk into your building. And then from that, they produce a report just like an inspector would. And then you go through and you correct all the things without any punitive damage. So we did that. It went very well. There's a couple, 3 big ticket items that Jordan and I are working on. One is training records and trying to get a better reporting system on those. So when they show up, I can print them out a report that basically spells out everybody's training, how many hours. So we're looking at a program right now. The next one is our standard operating guidelines and our standard operating procedures. That binder is about that thick. So I'm haven't decided how I'm gonna cut that cookie just yet to get that done, but that's on the list. And then the last big ticket item was our SDS sheets, our safety data sheets. We're a little out of compliance. So that has been tasked to one of our seasonal staff. And he's gonna start working on that next week or the week after. Basically inventorying every chemical that we have in the fire station. And then going through our book, making sure we have the safety data sheet for it. If we don't, go online, print it out, put it in our book. And then there was a couple minor things within inside the fire station, some exit signs in rooms that I didn't necessarily think we should have an exit sign. And then some signs on the outside of the doors that say what it is so people don't assume they're an exit. Like in our training room, there's a room that goes off, it's basically a storage closet. The houses like our air handling system and our cleaning supplies. So part of his recommendation was putting a placard on the outside that said storage room. And we had a couple of fire extinguishers that didn't have little arrows pointed down to them. And then both of our ladders, somehow all the stickers got removed. So they didn't say how much it was rated for and all the safety sheet stuff on it. So our extremely big ground ladder. I ordered the stickers, but our 6-foot ladder was pretty old, and so we're just going to replace it. It was about time anyway to replace it, and I didn't have stickers, so we're going to replace that ladder, and then all of our little compliance issues will have been handled. We've added 4 volunteers to the roster in the last 4 months. I have a couple more people interested in joining, so we're excited about that and getting those people onboarded and up to speed and out in the community running emergencies. So I'll open it up to any questions that you may have.
Put on.
Yeah, thanks, Chief. Appreciate the good report there. So as far as the that solar project, what's the status of that?
I think McKed's doing the construction. Correct. The planning side is done, wrapping up the paperwork for the grant. We are applying for the construction side of it. That is going on right now.
Okay. So how much did we end up using of that first allocation? Do you remember?
I want to say 40 something, but I don't remember the exact number. It wasn't all of it.
Okay, great. And then so I know we lost councilman, we also lost a volunteer firefighter. So what's our total volunteer count right now?
16.
Okay, that's
16
great.
volunteers. And then we're budgeted for 4 career staff. We're trying to hire the 4th right now.
That's great. And when we hire paramedics, are they able to live in town? What's the story?
Yeah, I mean, if there's housing available, they would live in town. The last 2 we've hired, Henry. Miranda was the only one that had actually lived in town prior to getting hired. But everybody else has lived outside of town. Henry lives in Lake Oswego and Tessie lives in Corbett.
Hmm. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I kind of, my brain goes to, you know, for the record, it was Councilmember Happy, he was really advocating for the stipend for the sheriff's deputy because you had, I forgot what story you had bumped into.
It was Joel Carmody.
Oh, exactly, yeah, that's right, thank you. And, you know, I certainly find myself going, maybe we should have a stipend for our paramedics, you know, to encourage them to live in town and be able to respond to these calls, you know.
Well, I think the paramedic stuff's a little different than the
That
sheriff's
is
office. They
different,
work
yeah.
a 48-96 schedule. And so they live at the station for 48 hours. So when they're on duty,
Never mind.
they're
never
in
mind.
town.
No, that's right, okay, thank you.
That seems pretty common for people.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah. Tessie's 30 minutes away, Henry's 45 minutes,
Yeah.
an hour, depending on traffic. So
Right.
if we have a large incident, those two can be called back in. And they're generally gonna be called back in to staff the station and respond to any other emergencies, not necessarily come to whatever emergency we're currently working. So. Like for the wildfire, for instance, I was the scheduled ALS provider for the day. The fire happened, I got very tied up with the fire and into the command. I called Jordan, I was like, hey, city's unprotected, I need permission to call Tessie in so she can come staff the station and respond to additional emergencies in town. I have 1 volunteer EMT that is hanging at the station currently, but need another person to staff that ambulance so we can transport a patient. He agreed, we called Tessie in, she staffed the station while we were on the fire.
Okay.
So our community was covered while we were out dealing with a wildfire threat to another part of our area.
Okay, and just 2 more, so we weren't called out for the Rowena fire?
Oh, we were
Was
100%.
it in Wasco County?
It was. So when we pulled out of the station, we noticed 2 columns across the river. And I switched to their radio channel and they were calling for resources. And I knew that the Gorge Scenic area was tied up in Rowena. And the Washington DNR was 2 hours out. So we diverted our 1 brush truck over there to help our neighbors across the river. Instead of helping our neighbors in Wasco County that already had resources there. And obviously, I mean, it wasn't enough. Neither one of them had enough resources. But I felt the need was greater across the river
Yeah,
for our
sure.
services than into Wasco.
Okay, thank you. And then, you know, when I was here way back when, we had that big fire near that mountain hut off of Mount Hood.
Mhm.
I forgot the name of it.
Podcast.
Cloud Cap, exactly. And, you know, we had a lot of equipment and we actually got to bill out for that fire. That was kind of a nice revenue windfall for the fire department. Is it safe to say for like the wildfire and this fire, are we getting those type of reimbursements from, I don't know, the Forest Service, or who, I don't know where that came, but you see what I'm
Not
asking?
for the wildfire, because that's under a mutual aid contract with the scenic area and ODF. And then the one across the river, their fire district 1's chief called me and said, hey, both fires were started by the railroad. If you lost anything or costs incurred by that fire, please give me that information. So I've sent that information to him and he is in the process of billing BNSF for that fire. So we may see some revenue. Those other fires that you were talking about are conflagration acts. And with the way they have morphed those things, it's very hard for volunteer firefighters to do them anymore. back in the day, it used to be a 3-day commitment. Pretty easy for somebody to get 3 days off work. Right now, it's a 5-day that could be extended to 14. So they just eliminated any help from a volunteer.
They can't.
Because unless the volunteer is a self-employed person, they just can't take 14 days off. To then 3 months later get a check.
Okay, and then my last one, so were you there with the sheriff's spoke?
Yep.
I mean, there's all these programs that are being cut, grant programs, because Oregon is this, whatever, sanctuary state. Are you seeing the same thing in the fire world, or are they cutting?
Not
grants that
really.
you would be able to-
FEMA's still advertising all their normal ones to fire agencies.
As far as you know, we can apply.
Largely though, I know we can apply.
Good.
It's just a matter of having the capacity to sit down and do their FEMA paperwork.
Of course.
To do that and the knowledge to do that, because there's definitely a way to write those grants.
Right.
And I'm not that writer. So I mean, there's a safer grant through FEMA which provides staffing. And it's a tiered program where the first year it's 100% covered by the grant, and then the next year 75,
Right.
50, then 25.
Correction did those.
And then, year 5, you should be on your own.
Correct.
Those are great for the first 2-3 years, but if you don't have the funds already to back up to keep those people, then you get this influx of staffing and everything's going great, and then you're back to bare bones. So Jordan and I have very much discussed those and haven't felt it was the right time to pull that trigger. The other one is for equipment.
Right.
And so I know in previous administrations, they got Engine 94 from that, they got turnouts. In 2019, the county got all new SCBAs for every district and department. But finding somebody to write that grant that knows that system is the key.
Did you have a question, Tiffany?
No, I have one question and then one statement. So of that 129, I just want council to know that 90 of those were out of casting box and 39 were inside. So I mean, that's a pretty big ratio that we're, augmenting through our EMS. And then my other question is for Jordan. Is there like no way that we can partner with the county to send somebody to a grant writing class that we could?
I'm sure we could.
I mean, is that something we could explore? I mean, I would be willing to, but I think the last time I looked at classes.
They're pretty spendy, yeah.
But would be a worthy investment, just like our lobbyists that we had. I mean, it would be worth the investment if we could go maybe even in with the county or, whoever to hire somebody to write grant.
Yep.
For the area. If me, it would be worth looking into.
I believe the people that do our EMS billing also offer that service. I could reach out to them, see how much that would cost.
That'd be great. I mean, because
they already have access to all our stuff and know our numbers,
right? And it's always gonna, there's always gonna be upfront costs, but if in the long run, if the payback could work out like it did for the lobbyists, it could work out. Or we hope it worked out for the lobbyists. We're not really 100% sure yet, but yeah, options. Let's look into options for grant writing, see what's out there. See, maybe there's something even we can hire. I don't know.
I support that expenditure.
We definitely, it's something we definitely need, and if we can't do it in-house, we need somebody that we can.
Pete.
Thanks for the update.
Yeah.
And Chief, that's really exciting news about the ocean inspection and some takeaways. You're able to make some improvements there proactively, right? So I think that's great. I noticed on your chart 2025 Multnomah County, 25 calls, 42% of our calls are for Multnomah County. Is that pretty consistent, and how does that track with past years?
Yeah, we're usually in the 15 to 20% range. Last couple of years, it's been closer to the 20% range. But really, July, August, September is where we see the biggest boom in that region, just due to all the trails.
How does that percentage correlate to your total operational budget and how does that relate to what they're
Well-
actually paying us?
We started down that road.
Yeah.
So originally it was a $20,000 contract.
Out of what's your total budget again? I mean, I know we just went through this, but like what percentage of your budget is that?
Not 20%. So when we went to them, like 76,000 was 20% of our total budget, and so that's what we asked for. They balked a little bit, and we finally were able to get an additional 20,000 out of them. That's kind of where our wherewithal kind of ended for that year. It's something that is still on Jordan and I's plate and radar to reassess and go back to the Multnomah County about. And it's really weird because we track all responses in Multnomah County, whether that's EMS, fire, whatever, trail rescues. And they only really account for medical, which encompasses trail rescues. So what Multnomah County EMS's number was lower than ours because they don't get the fire stats from BOEC, Bureau of Emergency Communications. And so what I'm showing them is like true responses, and what they're seeing are just the medical side. And so one of the questions we posed to council or chairperson Vega, right?
Vega Peterson.
Vega Peterson was, well, do you want us not to go to the fires? Because most of them are vehicle fires on the interstate. They're not part of our mutual aid contract with Gorge Scenic Area or Oregon Department of Forestry. Yes, we can bill for those, but if anybody's seen a car fire before and you have a 10-minute lead time to get there, there's not much left in the car, and so if the person didn't grab their insurance, sometimes there's not even a license plate left, so it's real hard to get vehicle insurance information from them to be able to bill. But sometimes we do get lucky and they have it on their phone and we can plug it all in, and then vehicle insurance, auto insurance pays 100% of what we bill. Even on the car, motor vehicle crash side, they pay 100% of the total ambulance bill and the rescue bill and the fire engine being there. So auto accidents, as long as they're billing through auto insurance and not health insurance, pay pretty well.
Was there, not to go in the weeds in this, but don't we have to provide insurance information to the Oregon Department of Motor Vehicles for registration? Isn't there a way that we could get that?
I mean, if a law enforcement officer gets there and is willing to share that, I don't think there's a way that I can pull it without. I think there is a way, but it's pretty cost inhibited. It's pretty expensive per time you submit to it. So, and then you're really taking a gamble, like, do they have insurance or do they not? If they don't have insurance, then we just wasted $100, whatever it is, to try to find that information. If they do have insurance, then it's gonna be great, because they're gonna pay. But
So thank you for that. And so it sounds like we're moving in the right direction as far as cost recovery from Multnomah County with their contract, but we're closer to 10% right now, not the 20% they really.
Correct.
Paying.
yes.
Thank you for the update on that.
All right, I just had a couple things I wanted to say thank you for getting the cooling shelter set up. Cause I noticed that you did that and I wanted to say thank you. And then the communication during this last fire, I appreciate it, cause I know you're busy and stuff, and if the communication's open so we can keep everybody in tune, it worked really well, and the fast response. And then I wanted to know about National Night Out, cause it's August 5th. Have we started planning or?
I reached out to all of our normal partners that have been there in years past, and I think all of them have responded that we're gonna be there. There was some talk of moving it to the park. Haven't chatted with Jeremiah about that yet and see if that park's open. But if not, the fire station is always open for that event.
Yeah, because I have that on my to-do list too, so I can reach out to Jeremiah too and see if we can do it there. That way we're able to talk to people about how important it is that we support
Yeah.
our fire and EMS.
And then on the cooling shelter, I think a big shout out needs to go to the port because they're the ones that. I
Yeah.
posed the question like, what are we doing for this? Because it's
Right.
gonna be hot. And Jeremiah and the board stepped up, kind of offered up that and the staff it. And then the Facebook post, I'm not gonna lie and say it was me. I wish. My lovely wife, who's one of our volunteers as well, listens if she can't go, listens to the pager, texts me what she wants to post to update. I just say yes, and then she posts it. So it's not me making those posts. It is my lovely wife on our Facebook page.
Oh, thank you. Do you have a question?
Well, and I would just like, get, Fire Watch, get the.
Oh, watch duty, yes.
Get Watch Duty, yeah, but I mean, cause they were pretty up to, I mean, they were just like.
Yeah.
Minutes behind what the
Yes.
information that you were putting out, so.
Yes.
Yeah, if you, like on your Facebook page, have, remind people, because I mean, yeah, this, then we can remind people to download that app, because it's really, I mean, it takes a lot off of. People who are in the fight.
Yeah.
A lot off their shoulders and lets them do their work, and we think our own good diligence. Cause I mean, you can set it up to react to your area. I mean, I've got it set up to react to for my mother's living, you know, so in Multnomah County, because of the winds blowing in the right direction, I wanna know if there's a fire that way. So,
All right, we're moving on. Everybody good?
thank you.
And thank you so much.
Thank you, Chief.
Public hearings,
No public hearings.
the action items, adopt ordinance number 471, the floodplain.
All right, amendments to Articles 1, 2, and 4 of the city's Community Development Code, CDC, are necessary to integrate the 2024 update to the State of Oregon Model Flood Hazard Management Ordinance, a mandatory directive from the state and federal agencies. The Planning Commission held a meeting on June 12, 2025 on the proposed amendments to the floodplain code. The commission reviewed the amendments and agreed to move them forward for the council's review and consideration during public hearings. Council held a public hearing on June 23rd to also consider public input. The ordinance is now presented to council for adoption. The ordinance will go into effect immediately to meet the July 22nd deadline set by the state and federal governments. The city planner and attorney have both reviewed and approved. Background on amendments to required floodplain regulations. As a result of judicial actions, FEMA was tasked with modifying NFIP, National Floodplain Insurance Program, implementation measures to ensure that development actions within floodplains result in no net loss to habitats. No net loss means mitigation of development impacts is provided on site within the same reach or in the same watershed. To remain participating in the NFIP, the state is requiring jurisdictions to either 1, prohibit all new development within floodplains, 2, adopt regulations requiring extensive environmental reviews termed a biological option BIOP, or 3, adopt the 2024 model ordinance. Staff and the Planning Commission have determined that adopting the 2024 model ordinance is the least restrictive and least costly for both the city and property owners. The 2024 State of Oregon Model Flood Hazard Management Ordinance has been prepared. Got myself lost there. 2024 State of Oregon Model Flood Hazard Management Ordinance. The 2024 update to the State of Oregon Model Flood Hazard Management Ordinance has been prepared by the State of Oregon Department of Land Conservation and Development and reviewed and approved by the Federal Emergency Agency. Region 10. Adoption of the 2024 model ordinance will ensure the city remains compliant with the minimum standards for participation in the National Flood Insurance Program. The city must become compliant prior to July 22nd, 2025. Revise special flood hazard area mapping. FEMA has developed new flood insurance rate maps, FIRM, that will become effective on July 22nd, 2025. The new regulations are required to adopt by reference these new maps. The city does not have the jurisdiction to amend these new maps. Updated references for these new maps are required to remain compliant within NFIP. The city is split into 5 maps. The relevant firms are copied below. All firms can be found on FEMA's Flood Map Service Center website. The ordinance was posted to council and to within City Hall for public inspection within the 7 days required in the charter. So it can be read and voted on by title only tonight. However, we will not be able to pass it in a single vote tonight because Councilor Keller is not here. And in order to get it passed in time with the July 22nd, we will need to do a second reading. I am proposing we either do it Wednesday night to meet the 24-hour requirement notice, or we do it Monday night, pass it, and then get it uploaded to DLCD the next morning.
Pick what day, Wednesday or Monday?
I mean, I guess we can do another one, but
I can't do Monday, but I can do Wednesday. I'm gonna be out of town and very unavailable.
Okay, Tiffany, Wednesday or Monday?
I can do both.
Mary Ann? Wednesday or Monday?
I think I can do both, but I don't have my calendar, so I couldn't say.
I can do both. If Monday I can do remote, but I'll be around on Wednesday.
I can do both, so.
sounds like Wednesday's the winner. Okay.
Just calendar.
Yeah, does 6 o'clock work for everybody? So it'll be a special meeting. We'll do the 24-hour notice.
It's
We'll get
gonna be hot Wednesday too.
We'll get it.
In and out.
We'll get it done and out of the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So second item, is council fine with reading it in title only? Okay, perfect. I will go ahead and read it in title only. I mean, I do have a lovely voice.
Hot.
I have a lovely voice, so. No, I'll read the title and then there's the motion to vote. So I'll read it. Do I need to read it twice? I don't remember now. I don't think I need to read it twice. We're not voting to pass it. Okay. Ordinance number 471, an ordinance amending the Community Development Code to implement flood hazard regulations that reflect the 2024 Oregon Model Floodplain Management Ordinance and declaring an emergency. Yep.
But for floodplain management.
It's right there on that.
Does that have a second?
Second it.
All right, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye, oppose? No. All right, adopt ordinance number 471, the floodplain. It's all yays.
Perfect. I will get the notification out for a special meeting first thing tomorrow morning.
Hold on. Kathy, did I do anything wrong? I seen that look.
No. I mean,
Are you sure?
well, I'm questioning moving to adopt and voting when we have to have a
And
second.
we have to have a second meeting, why do we do that?
And a second reading.
Cause Jordan told us to.
Well,
Blame it on Jordan.
We'll do it again on Wednesday. I just was questioning.
Okay, I've seen your eyes.
They do
I
that.
think she's right.
I think
All
she,
you do is have
Just
to
make a
read,
motion.
and then do
you
it.
read it again the next meeting and then you
Yeah.
vote.
See, you should have told us. All right, did you have a question?
No, I
Becky?
just wanna, in your report next time, can you clearly state that, like, you say adopts the 2024 model ordinance, staff and planning commission have determined that adopting the model ordinance is the least restrictive and least costly for the city. If you could just like put like, so that's the direction we're going, something like that, just to be brutally clear that that's, so that there's no kind of guessing or interpreting.
Okay.
All right. Ready to move on. Approve council appointment process.
All right. Denise Emmerling Baker has resigned from her position on the council. The position's term is set to expire on December 31st, 2026, and is up for election on November 3rd, 2026 ballot. Below is from the charter how to fill vacancies, section 30, filling of vacancies. Council vacancies shall be filled by a majority of the remaining members of the council. The appointee's term of the office shall begin immediately and shall continue until the next general election and the term for that position shall be unexpired portion of the remaining term. Council has typically put out a call for applications, usually 2 to 4 weeks, reviewed the applications and applicants and appointed. I am proposing either a 3 or 5 week time frame. This will provide a week for council to review the applications before interviewing and selecting. For the 3 week timeline, applications would open tomorrow, 7/15. Applications would close, I believe that's Monday, 8/4, giving a week to get them. We get them out to council and for council to review with review, interview, and appointment on 8/11. The 5 week schedule. Same open date of 7/15. Application close date would not be till 8/18, and council review, interview, and appointment would be 8/25. City council options: approve the appointment procedure, amend and approve appointment procedure. But again, this is another one of those items where it's pretty vague, and council can completely come up with a whole new process this time if they want. But this is what's been done, at least since I've been here, and I think beforehand as well.
So I'm gonna make a motion that we, open the application for a vacant councilor position starting July 15th, closing August 4th. And with review and appointment at the August 11th meeting.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Go ahead, please.
I was just gonna say that the only item I have there is if we aren't able to have majority select any of the applicants, then we may not be able to appoint on that date. I just want to point that out. I think we can say that we'll open it.
Well, yeah,
But I don't know that we can necessarily appoint if we can't agree.
well, yeah, I guess with in implied it'd be the intention to appoint. Yep.
Any other discussion? All right, all in favor of the 3 week propose to fill in the council vacancy, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, so we'll go with the applications open on July 15th, 2025. Applications close on 8/4, 2025. Council review, interview, and attempt to appoint 8/11, 2025, and no nays on that. All right. Now we're approve resolution 1521, the prepared food and beverage tax.
All right, fiscal year 2024-2025 council goals included researching increased and stable funding sources for the fire and EMS department. This goal was reaffirmed as a top priority for fiscal year 2025-2026. Chief Logan and I began researching the budgetary needs of the department in spring 2024. We also began researching funding options to meet that need. The fire and EMS department is currently heavily subsidized by the general fund, which is not uncommon, but puts pressure on our limited resources. Chief Logan and I have determined that any funding source would need to provide a roughly $360,000 to make a significant impact and relieve the pressure for both departments. This new revenue source would replace additional funding provided by the general fund, except the 42% of property tax that will go to the fire and EMS department. Ensuring we were not working in a silo, we created a task force consisting of Councilor Keller, volunteer firefighter Baker, and local business owner Miss Olvera in the fall of 2024. We discussed all options, including property tax increases, another increase in the EMS fee, moving to a special district, and prepared food and beverage tax. The task force determined that a prepared food and beverage tax was the most equitable and simplest source of revenue. The results of the task force research were presented to council on March 10th, 2025. Council approved consensus to staff to move forward and draft an ordinance and policies for council review and deliberation. Staff presented the resolution and ordinance to council on June 9th with supporting documentation. Final versions of both are presented for approval. The resolution is authorizing the ordinance to go to a vote of the people on the November 4th ballot. If the vote is successful, council will then need to approve the ordinance and will go into effect July 1st, 2026. The deadline to approve the resolution and submit the ballot measure to the county to be put on the ballot is August 15th. The ordinance sets a 7% tax on prepared food and beverages designed for immediate consumption. Attached for review are a copy of the resolution and ordinance, City Attorney Cleveland has reviewed the resolution and ordinance. City Council options are to approve Resolution 1521, amend and approve Resolution 1521, do not approve Resolution 1521.
Move to approve resolution 1521 as opposed.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just have a couple of questions. On section 8. Point 4, it says a 1.5% per month. Look, don't pay interest at the rate of 1.5% per month. Is that on the amount due? On addition to the penalties, any operating bills? Okay, and pay interest at the rate of 1.5% per month. Is that on?
Not due.
Is that on-
Yeah, on the amount due. Yep.
Should it say that?
Use 8. Which one?
8, section 8.4.
Doesn't it say that?
I'm not really, it just, you hit the required tax, okay, interest 1.5% per month.
Operation. On tax due.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, there it is. Yeah.
I'm sorry,
On tax
okay,
due.
I'm sorry.
This is a really awkward.
It is a very awkward sentence. I agree. That's a lawyer sentence.
Okay, and then I asked you the question online about do we have the authority to revoke business license?
At the moment, because one doesn't exist. But to actually give the city teeth, we need to create that process, a business registry, a license program, and the enforcement, and then we can actually send them to court and fine them. I mean, so we need to create that system, which is
Yeah.
on our to-do list, and assuming this passes, we'll bump to the top.
And then, you said for the explanation that it doesn't need to go for the explanation.
No, I don't. I know.
The 7% by.
Correct. Yeah, I think it's more important that it's in the business guide and the businesses understand it because it's really for them. Correct. Yes. Yeah.
Just asking for 2%. And then do we know how many current voters we have in this city? I mean, current, because I see 2023, we had 1,000.
I don't know, but I could probably ask.
We should find that out, because that would be a good idea to know what our target is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on that, I pulled obviously the last 4 elections. You can obviously see the difference when there's more than just the port commission votes on there. Not having, I mean, I haven't heard anything else. We're going to be the only thing on the ballot for the city of Cascade Locks. So I don't know. I honestly don't know. But even with, Port of Cascade Locks, the public safety levy and the prepared food tax for the county, it was less than 40%. So it's an uphill struggle. And I know Councilor Seeger asked, the validity, or do we have to follow that 50% limit? And I have yet to reach out to Ruben, but I will ask. Again, I'm assuming it's black and white, but
Those lines.
but I also say, Ruben says all the time, it's your charter, interpret it as you see fit, and he will provide guidance. So,
Did anybody else have any discussion?
Well, it would seem like it would.
It would fall under that.
Under that, because something that the city's asking.
oh
The
yes,
citizens,
Needs to be
so
50%.
to me, it needs to be 50/50. And my question is, are we're allowed to go and knock on doors and petition?
from my understanding, yes.
So how do we print up our own things to hand out to people?
Preferably go through a PAC, a political action committee, and that group would coordinate it all, and then the city could do its side.
Because when I was running, I just printed my own things and handed them out.
Correct. I would like to have
7 different messages.
I would like to have one central message with maybe 4 bullet points on it, and that's what we stick to.
As far as the city.
As far, well, the PAC,
Yeah.
the city's a little different. The city can pretty much say, this is what we're wanting. What we actually do with the money is actually a violation. We can say we want this tax and why we're doing it, and that's about it. So it's yeah. If I mention like we're doing this, it's going to save the general fund $180,000. We're going to take that $180,000 and reinvest it in this. I can't do that.
Yeah, the reason being is because the city
We can't sway a vote.
tax
Yeah.
Can't be used to sway
Yep.
votes.
Yep.
Influence
So it's
an
very
element.
narrow.
So it would be up to us individually.
Yeah.
And even us meeting to talk about it like right now, I mean, can we?
We can now because it's not on the ballot. Once this goes to the county to be on the ballot, then that's when the window shuts.
And I think, I mean, even us being involved, we can't have more than 4 of us involved that, or, you know, right?
Yeah, correct.
Right.
Yeah, three or less.
But we could go in pairs and knock on doors.
Yeah, but any kind of strategy meeting for the PAC, whoever's part of it, has to only be 3.
We as a council can form, you're saying we as a, or you're.
And any individual can. Yeah, and as a citizen, as a proponent of the ballot measure, you can start a PAC.
I was just saying if we had a bunch of counselors as part of the pack, it might be hard for us to meet because then we might.
Yep.
I'm just kind of curious from those of you that lived in this town for a long time, what are your thoughts about this, trying to overcome that 50%? I mean, the numbers don't look very good.
I think personally, you gotta get out there and you gotta talk to the community members and let them know how important fire and EMS, because we've all heard how important it is. They're all very concerned with it, they all want it, and we're either gonna have food and beverage packs, or we're gonna come to you for more money. Because, or we won't have these services.
Yeah.
So it's very clear. But I think, and that's where we gain this trust and transparency, that they know that we're telling them the facts and all that. And that we can let them know, hopefully by that time, that we've taken care of this other loan and these other things. The National Night Out would be nice if we could get it done at the park. So we can kind of let people know there too, hey, this is why we need this passed. And that way the people that come here that use the services the most, you know, are footing that bill, you know. Some people think it won't pass because citizens are against locals having to pay it. One way or another, if this don't pass, we're gonna pay if we want these services, otherwise we won't have services. Cause if we really need them. So I think just being very transparent and honest with people and knocking on doors and tell them the truth, you know. And I think that's where that open communication and just being honest. I think whenever we start trying to get around the bush, around the truth, and try to recreate what this is, then it gives you kind of some doubt, you know. But where we can say, hey, remember this fire that just happened, you know, recently? Had the air planes not got on that so quick, it could be a different story today that we're having. Had the winds been blowing a different way, it could be a different story. So I know it's very important for the community, public safety and all that. So I think we've got to just sell it to them and just know that if they eat here once in a while, they'll be paying that tax as well. I don't know. Bernard, did you have something?
I got a few questions, yeah. Look at comments. I do worry about these numbers.
I do too.
And it makes, I guess I wanna ask the question of council. If we get the plurality, so let's say it's 42% say yes and whatever, you know, or let's say it's 60% say yes, but we only get, 40% of votes, right? Is council ready to go back again in November of 26 and do this exact same thing again? Because there's part of me that says, don't do it, just wait till November of 26, we would feel much more comfortable, we'll get to 50%. And anybody who's on the fence, like, I don't want to tax myself, they'll get overwhelmed by, I agree with you, most residents, they want to take care of our fire department. But in off-year election, getting people to pay attention, it's very difficult.
Very difficult. Oh, I think it's gonna be difficult too.
So that's my question to council. If this fails because we don't get to 50%, are we ready to go back again and build a pack and basically redo this? Basically do the work twice.
Yeah.
Because that's what we may be signing up for if we do it in this time. It's a fair share, yeah. Or we wait and just do it once in November of 26.
And what, I guess, what kind of financial burden does that put on the city if we wait till November of 2026? Because I've heard you make the statement that we've only got so much money for.
Correct. This year's budget, even with their raises, wasn't as huge a strain as it had been before. We had a decent uptick in property tax. Electrical sales has gone up. So the general fund is able to cover it to the tune of about $270,000. I think the biggest part for this is a quarter of these funds, assuming we get what we want and everything works out, would be dedicated to reserve funds. I mean, our vehicles are falling apart and we don't have the money to do a darn thing about it. So we can pay our staff a market wage, but the vehicles they're rolling out in are falling apart. So if we're going to fund this, we need to fund it right. And your basic fire truck without all the fancy stuff is $1 million.
Go ahead.
Okay, so to that issue, and I asked this, I think in one of my emails. So if we go to the voters next November, we don't get our 50%. Are you saying that we could operate our fire department with our current revenue stream, but we neglect our vehicle? Is that what I'm hearing?
Pretty much. I think we could stay stable with the chief and 3 paramedics with the salaries, but actually any improvements to the department would not happen without additional funds.
Okay,
Is that a good assessment, chief?
okay.
And the biggest improvements needed are in our rolling stock.
Yep.
Both of our wildland rigs are over 30 years old. Our second out fire engine's 30 years old. Even our newest fire engine is quickly approaching 20 years old.
And 20 years is the standard lifespan of apparatus.
About how long parts are easily accessible.
Okay, and then, I ran the numbers. I said 7% of X equals $360,000. And the X is $5.1 million in food sales in a given year. And I don't know if that's a little or a lot. I don't know what these restaurants make in town. It's a big number to me. I just want to double check. We're comfortable that this $360,000 is a conservative estimate on food and beverage sales in Cascade Locks in a given year.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know
How
how
would they determine?
I don't know how conservative it is. I think in our first budget year, we would definitely budget less than the 360 to be on the safe side and see where that number comes through. There's the report, they lay it out, and it's because Oregon doesn't have sales tax, it's a pretty complicated process, has to do with payroll tax and the size of the restaurants. I don't know the exact formula they use, but that's what they came up with.
So they did that for Cascade Locks.
Yes, Eco Northwest, yes.
All right. Okay. And then, let's see. Right, so, and I'm not trying to throw up obstacles, I'm just trying to be clear-headed about all this, but do we have a sense of the hours per month that's going to require staff time to administer this tax?
Not yet, no.
And then, is it clear to you how we're going to audit the operators for both accuracy and fairness? And we need to have a system
Correct.
of checking that they're not fudging their numbers, and basically undercutting someone who's playing by the rules versus someone's like just.
Yeah,
not taking
and
this
that
seriously. Tell me how.
that would involve field trips to Cannon Beach, Ashland, and Yachats. I mean, Ashland's been doing it since the 90s, I think. I mean, they have it down.
And they're doing audits and they feel comfortable. They're getting accurate reports from their food and beverage vendors.
Yep.
But can I throw a caveat in that? We now have mobile vendors.
Correct, yes.
So that adds a whole different level of complexity to, having permanent brick and mortar.
Correct, that's a whole.
The importance of having that business license.
Correct.
I don't even know who to talk to. They don't have a lot of tax returns.
Right.
Okay, so the last thing I'll say is, I actually went to Golden Dale to look at that fabulous eagle that was done by Howard. And decided to have lunch in town, and lo and behold, their sales tax is 7.5%. A little more than ours. I had, a lunch, it was costing me $20, and the additional tax was $1.50. I gotta tell you, it didn't hurt that bad. I'm like, whatever. I'm having a nice day. It really didn't bite. So that little mini experience, I don't think this is gonna be that big of a attraction from our businesses if they have to start collecting this tax. I just really feel like, especially the fact that our competitors, I'm always worried about competitors, they're across the river and they're probably charging already. It's like, you can't run to Skamania Lodge and avoid the sales tax, right? Right, so it's a nice thing. And if I get my way, we'll be successful here in Hood River County, do the same darn thing. And then we can get better funding for our darn sheriff's office. So then we're even more protected, like, I'm going to Hood River to get my burger. So I can avoid the 7%, but anyway, I just wanted to say that story because I feel much better about this, given that just little simple experience.
Yeah.
I guess I do want to clarify with, assuming a council moves this forward in the campaigning, it's the fire and EMS department, but if this doesn't work out, it's the EMS side that would be dropping. It's the medical side. The city is still required to provide the fire services unless we contract that out. But the medical services is actually the responsibility of the county. And we have voluntarily taken that on. So if it fails, we would go back to the county and say, we can't do this anymore. Give them 30, 60-day notice, whatever it is, figure it out. So that 42% for the property tax would still go to the fire department. Would probably be just a paid chief, maybe a half-time station captain or something, and then all volunteer. They would still do first response medical, they'd still do fires, but they would not be the ambulance transport service.
Okay, just to be clear, if we can't solve our revenue challenge there, I'm not ready to give up my fire and EMS.
Correct. I
like having a local paramedic to respond to 911. And I'd like to think council will then get together and try to get creative and find a new way to do this. Instead of like, we're done. I just want the administrator to know that's where my hat is.
Yes.
It's not like, okay, we're done. I'm going back to drawing board and see what we can do to try to ensure our paramedics stay in town.
Yes.
Chief has a fully staffed.
Chief, I know we're putting the cart way before the horse, but let's say this thing doesn't pass in November. We come to March of 26. Where do you think the county stands in moving to a district format?
It'd be a stretch.
Okay.
Our best bet would would be approach another single department. And do it that way and merge that way. So do a whole county thing. There's still some old school mentality about giving up your patch and giving up your rank. I don't think that way. I think whatever is good for the community, as a public servant, I should do. And so if that is merging all the departments into one, not being the fire chief anymore, but being, I don't know, battalion chief, right? And lowering my rank, I'm okay with that as long as we're better serving our community as a whole. That would be the whole county at that point. So there's a lot to figure out in that.
Yeah.
And like who's gonna be the chief and how the board of directors is going to look and feel and operate, and then just general reconstruction of the whole fire EMS system within the county. So it's not gonna be like a quick process. It may seem quick to the residents, but there's gonna be a lot of work done on the back end to make sure that, when it's voted in on December 31st, we're all separate, but on January 1, when that takes effect, we're all one, and how that transition works. The scary part is you have to vote to dissolve your agency
And
then hope that the vote to consolidate passes this.
Yeah.
So that's the scary part for most people.
we're gonna keep our fire.
Anyways,
fast.
way above, way of cart over the horse. So
Yeah.
So, you have just a special election, would we have to wait until fall of next year in order to be able to do it? Could we have a May,
So there are actually 4 designated ballot times that the state does. We can do any one of those 4.
usually there's one.
I think
May,
there's
right? So
there's May, yeah,
So we wouldn't have to wait until November of next year if it did happen.
correct.
The only problem is that we all have to remember that it's a year after the, almost a year after the election before it starts happening. So, I mean, if it does pass this fall, it isn't starting until July of next year. right?
Correct, yeah.
And then, so it'll take like that whole, will we quarterly start getting money? Right
Yes,
in
quarterly.
July on?
Yep.
But it doesn't start until July, so like a full 8 months
Yep.
later. Yeah, so. I say do it twice, and PAC doesn't have to dissolve, it can just sit there.
Correct.
And
Yep.
reconstitute itself when it's necessary. And in addition to going over to try to avoid it here and paying the sales tax over there, you'd also have to pay tolls, so
Good point.
And it would probably cost
Fee.
it would probably cost money, but we could do some kind of exit polling if it fails to figure out why it failed.
I don't think it's gonna fail. I think it's only gonna fail only because of the 50%.
Sure, yes, yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
It'll get the votes, but it's gonna get 50%. I don't know.
We need to let people know how important it is to vote. It's very important to vote for fire and EMS.
We can put our citizens on the spot. What do you think? What do you think about a 7% sales for tax on food and beverage to file? With knowing that out of the 129 calls that we've had this year, 90 of them have been for out of city people.
2 of the infamous calls was Jim.
Mm-hmm.
I think this way, if you and your household has an accident or a fire, your first call is going to be out to God to help you. Ask the citizens who their second call's gonna be.
So what do
If
you
they
think?
have a fire or an ambulance,
But
their
specifically,
second call will be to the fire department.
what are your opinions on a 7% food and beverage tax? Would that be something?
Cost keeps going up every year.
Yeah.
You go down, you go in, out to have dinner. $25, $30, whatever it is. You
Yeah.
do it, you do it, you stay home.
Right.
And I don't think anybody's gonna object to it, they're not gonna say, oh, I'm not gonna pay you here if it's sales tax.
Especially if it's for all the money's going to fire and EMS.
Right.
And that way that numbers are gonna work. You're not gonna wait 30
We are
minutes for an
very
ambulance.
privileged to have what we have, and you better not lose it.
Yes, yes. All right, so all discussions done and all in favor of approving resolution number
I know
15?
you want to move on. I just wanted to say I agree with Tiffany and that, same thing, let's run it, and then if they don't pass, I don't think it's gonna be double work to do it again.
Yeah,
So I
I think so
just
too.
wanna say I'm supportive of that.
yeah, good, so everybody in favor of approving resolution number 1521, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, approve resolution number 1521 to prepare food and beverage tax passed with all yeas and no nays. And now moving onward, committee reports,
No committee reports tonight.
audit update.
All right, Aldrich continues to follow with follow-up analysis and questions from field work for FY 22-23. Finance Director Clark and I will be getting an update. We got a quick update from them. The holdup right now is the federal single audit for the wastewater improvement project. They're asking lots of questions, wanting invoices from that project. So that's the holdup right now as we get those files to them. The city has already received the client provided list for FY 23-24 and have been starting to collect those. So again, should be a pretty quick turnaround once 22-23 is done. Roughly 90% done, still waiting on Aldrich for this current one. And then I don't know, probably less than 5% as we just begin for FY 23-24. And no TBA or TBA on completion date at this point. So but we're moving.
that a new standing agenda item, audit update?
That was what council wanted, yeah.
Oh, couldn't remember. I like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that way we're staying on top of it.
Yep.
But our,
Okay, is the proposed completion date for 23-24 TBA because the auditors can't commit to the workload? Why is that TBA? Is it,
I haven't gotten with the delay for this current one, I haven't gotten a new estimated completion date for 23-24.
okay, well, I mean,
uh,
I want a line in the sand, you know, I would like, you know, both the city and the auditor to commit to a proposed completion date. And then, again, we're gonna publicly monitor this, every report, and to get this thing done, you know, I don't like TBAs on this thing, I think, that's my request, I don't know if council feel differently, but let's figure something out.
yeah, Tiffany.
So I just have a question, is all the paperwork that's requested, that's all online? That's,
No.
okay, so how often is Chantel working in the office to perpetuate getting?
She's mostly remote.
So mostly is what, 70%, 80%?
Probably 90%.
So how does that speed the process when the person who can get the information to the auditors is only here 10% of the time?
How does it speed the process?
How does it slow it down?
Is there not a way that she can come work in person more often to get this process speeded up faster?
Yeah, she can.
Is there a reason why we're not?
I don't think she needs to. I mean, the issue is 22-23 because of all the changes was a bit of a mess. I will agree to that. But her being remote is not delaying any of this.
Okay, so who's coming up with the paperwork that's being required? Who's
Who's providing her with providing auditors with copies of invoices if she's not here?
All of us. It's a team effort.
But is that not her job? Is that not mainly her?
It's her main focus, yeah.
Person who's supposed to be providing the information is only working 10% here in person 10% of the time. It just feels like an anchor. But I guess we can discuss that later as a council. But I just
10%, does that mean like one day every day?
It's actually probably less than that. Oh no. Yeah, probably close to that, yeah.
one day every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Shannon didn't want to jump. She put her hand up.
No, I'll discuss this later in council comments, thank you.
And just, I think when we talked before about these dates shifting, not erasing the date, but just one line.
Oh, that's, yep, that was my fault,
So you
yeah.
could see how many times.
Yeah, it's really hard to see how those.
Yep, you're right, I forgot
Like
that.
is Bernard put it, there's a line in the sand, and when that line moves, I think that should be publicly reported.
I thought we agreed to that as well.
No, that was my fault, yeah.
I wanna see that as well, thank you.
Can you fix that? Any way to retroactively go back?
Yeah, I can go back and look at old records, yeah.
Right, city administrator Bennett report.
Fiscal year 25-26 budget, all required forms and documents have been submitted to the county and state. City hall updates, as you saw in the weekly report, I am actively working to gather the information for council to make a decision on the future of the current city hall. I am working to get quotes from the estimates and community needs and a community needs survey. And Counselor Happy, I do have a meeting set up with Locke later this week to chat with him on if he has an interest in helping in development of this building. So, OCCMA conference, some great personal and professional takeaways from the conference to improve my performance and skills. Work sessions focused on funding sources, personal contracts being my contract with council, and evaluations, HR practices, council relations, and a great general just Q&A with other city managers. OSHA consult, we had a consult from the Oregon Occupational Safety and Health Office complete a consultation of the Public Works and Electric Department staff on Monday, 7/7. No major items discovered in the walkthrough. A detailed report will be provided to the city in the next few weeks. One major item we do need to address is the lack of training we have been providing. I will be working with all department heads to create and implement a rebuilt training program. Because we had the consultation, we now have a 60-day grace period where we cannot be inspected by the compliance office. Freem Brewing, the city, TEC, which is our new treatment plant operators, Anderson Perry and Freem met on Monday, 7/7 to discuss the technical memorandum Anderson Perry wrote regarding Freem's desired expansion and the plant's ability to handle the increased influent. All parties are in agreement that the plant can handle the first phase of Freem's brewing expansion if Freem completes basic pretreatment. The bigger question is upgrades to handle phase 2 of their brewing operations expansion. It will require significant updates, $1 million plus, to either their pretreatment system or our plant. Freem is currently reviewing options of the best way to move forward. Council will be briefed as more developments arise. I did get a note from Freem that they are working on a package to present the city, hopefully in the next couple weeks. McCord Creek, the work has been completed and we are officially out of the way of ODOT. The governor has not signed the bill yet, relieving the city of the debt. She has until July 26th to sign. However, there is no indication she will not approve it. Part of the job. Summer break for councils. Many cities take summer off from their regular council meetings. They will hold their first meeting of July and not meet again until the second meeting of August. Gives a roughly 6-week break. This allows both council and staff time to do vacation. Cascade Locks has traditionally never had this format. I brought it up with the mayor and just want to see if there is, I don't know if it'd be possible to do it this year, but try and plan for it in future years. So just a thought. And that's all I have.
See, mayor and city council comments. How about Bernard? Let's let you start.
Okay, don't have much. Let's see. Yeah, so I was asked to sign checks a week or two ago. And, you know, take a closer look at the expenditures going out the door. And I noticed a couple relatively decent sized checks for one of our contractors. And I asked the city administrator, you know, can you tally up how much money we've spent with that contractor in the last 12 months? And it was over $100,000. And then I'm like, I don't think do we have a contract for him or this vendor? Not that I'm aware of, and I don't think we ever bidded for those services. So typically, it's one of those things that started small and just grew and grew and grew. So I guess this happens in any city, I can assure you. And this is not an unusual phenomena in, vendor relations and operations. But given the fact we've been needing these services in such massive quantity in the last 12 months, I think it would be worth the city's interest in bidding out for these services. Having this person and other make a bid, and go through a process, we might be able to save some money. So I'm not sure. To me, it's not hot. I mean, I feel like we're getting a leasable value, but you don't know what your value should be until you bid the services. So if council support it, I would love to kind of put that on the city administrator's to-do list. It's kind of a medium to low priority to bid out these services and see if we can improve our costs.
Isn't it part of regulations of anything over a certain dollar figure, we go out for an RFP?
Okay, here's the argument though, each job is under
small,
that spending
exact.
amount, so it's not the cumulative total, it's each job.
It's doing like 6,000 a year, 10,000 a year,
Yeah.
4,000 a year.
All those who come out.
So those are individual things that are well below the purchasing process.
We should go out for an RFP.
So you support
I
that?
support going out for an RFP on that, that's ridiculous.
All right, well, that's where I'm at as well. I'm not sure how council feels, but
I'm in agreement as well.
okay. Did you catch all that?
I did not.
Okay, so we talked about the maintenance services we were getting, I won't mention the contractor, that I said, how much have we done at 12? He said, oh my gosh, over 100,000. Remember this conversation that I read?
Yes.
Okay, so, you know, my next question is, should we bid out these services? I don't think we ever went through a bidding process to identify this vendor as a, you know, a contractor for these maintenance services. And, you know, when when you're doing that much business with them, to me, it says we need to bid those out to make sure we're getting a competitive value for our money. And the reporter has.
Go ahead, Kathy.
I don't know if I should butt in or not, but, I know how this came about. I have no idea who you're talking about, I'm guessing. How this came about was when Paul Cook was,
Interim.
interim city administrator. It was in the financial policies. It was set in there that anytime we could use local, we use local. I'm just saying that's how it
Right.
came about and
Right.
has continued without a formal process.
Fair enough, but again, we're doing such a large amount.
I didn't want it to be like, well, the city started this.
No,
and then it
and I didn't take it that way at all.
Okay.
No, didn't at all. So anyway, so I told council, to me, this is a medium to low priority. We don't have any strong evidence that, you know, we're getting taken. We feel like
Yeah.
we pay money, we get service, but because it hasn't bidded, you know, there's no pressure, you know, it's like, let's make this person and others bid, and then the lowest price, again, assuming they have a good track record of service, that's who's, you know, our new bidder, our new contractor for these services. So I'll ask council, it sounds like is agreeing to put that on your to-do list. We bid out those services for what that vendor's been doing for us. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. And then one other thing. Let's see. Okay, that's a separate thing on an email. Let's see. Believe it or not, word got out on my Scotch broom project, and someone emailed me. He says, I'm doing Scotch broom off of one road in town. I can't remember which one. He said, if you need some help, you know, give me a buzz. I haven't contacted this individual yet, but I plan on doing that. And we're going to eliminate Scotch broom in Cascade Locks. It's a beautiful thing. So, and I really I'm so proud of the work up there. If you go up Dry Creek, there is a graveyard of Scotch broom stems on both sides of the road. And it's a thing of beauty. But look on the left, there is no Scotch broom. There's just happy seedlings trying to turn into forests. And it's going to be a beautiful thing when they grow big and happy. And they're not competing that Scotch broom. So let's see. And then, so I'm out of town. I'm leaving town Thursday. And I won't be back to the 30th. But I plan on joining you guys remote. And for what it's worth, Gresham did a summer break every year. But to be clear, Gresham, their council met every week.
They do, yes.
Okay. So because we only meet twice a month, I don't know if 6 weeks feels generous. Maybe we take, I don't know, a 2-week break. But I'll be supportive of something like that. 6 weeks, I'm not supportive. We got work to do. We're only doing 2 meetings a month. You know, just for what it's worth. That's all I got. Thanks, guys.
All right, Tiffany.
And I agree with that. I mean, this, we did take off Memorial Day.
We did, yeah.
Take off for that one, and I mean, I feel like we could. Maybe one here, one there, but to do like a whole, yeah, that's a lot. And then I wanted to add to that, the one vendor discussion. First I want to say I appreciate your honesty that you were caught off guard, that it was such a significant amount. I appreciate that you're, that
Yeah, it added up when you, yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, it makes me wonder, I like, when those kind of projects happen, are you like keeping a running tab to see how much is being spent on that, so that you like, oh wow, here we're approaching a level that
I have not, no.
So I mean, would that be difficult to do? I mean,
I know, I tasked the specific employee who coordinates it to do it.
Okay, okay, so that would explain that. And I wanted to say a funny thing on your, when you said replacing of electric vehicles on here.
Yeah.
I was thinking, we have electric vehicles, I didn't know you were talking about electric.
The electric
cars,
department,
electric
yeah.
vehicles. So that was why that
That's
question.
become a goal.
Yeah.
Wasn't alone, yeah.
That's why
Yeah, EV.
Yeah.
that's so maybe just put my apartment in there
Yeah,
or something,
yeah.
because I was just like, what, are we?
Well, I think I
are we
had
gonna see that?
I had the fire apparatus and then, electric right after that. So
That's my funny joke of it.
Yeah.
So I'm not.
I noticed the same thing.
I was like, what? When did that come up for discussion?
Yeah.
Okay, electric department, that makes more sense. I'm gonna keep hounding on this till we get this resolved, that these cameras and microphones are awful. I don't know if anybody's watched, but just watching throughout the meeting, watching the cameras switch every.
Yeah, I don't know why it does that.
It's like really annoying and it's very hard to watch online. And then for some reason, when you talk online, it deadens everybody else's microphones so that when we talk, it takes like 5-10 seconds for the volume to come back up. So if you have people at home turning it up so that they can hear like what maybe Pete may say after you, they're gonna get blasted out when it comes back to regular volume. So we really need to do something about this issue. We just need to get it resolved. The plants in the plaza are not doing fantastic. I don't know. I mean, is there a reason why we planted seed and not real
Cost.
plants?
Cost.
And are we gonna do anything about the overlook? Because I mean, it just looks pathetic.
the
The overlook part.
The grounds.
yeah, it's on our list to pressure wash it and clean it up. Yep.
We got wonderful planters and we don't have plants in there. Is there?
It's just more maintenance for already stretched staff.
So is that something that we can give to tourism since we've given them that money? I mean, is that only specifically for the bathrooms? I mean. I don't, can we do an adopted thing? Maybe somebody we can.
We can try and set up a program, yeah.
Stop it and water it, keep it watered and that sort of thing. I don't know. It's just dead grass. And it looks awful and it's one of our key points. People stop and look at that in that area. Yeah, and I had a question about the signing of the checks when you came in. I mean, is there a reason why 2 counselors weren't called and Kathy had to sign? I mean, because there were counselors available that could have just come in and signed the checks twice. I mean,
When was that?
Yeah, which
at the last, when Bernard had to come in and sign checks and Kathy and sign.
Because Jordan was gone.
Oh, yeah.
He was a council member and a staff person.
Okay.
yeah.
There was one time that you and I signed.
It's because the mayor was sick. Jordan wasn't here.
I think
And I
Kathy was
don't
gone
think
too.
Kathy was here either.
Yeah,
Okay, so
Yep.
there's
All of it.
so there's a.
I think they were vacation and I was.
Hierarchy.
There is, yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like first it's staff and council, and then, okay, and then it goes down that hierarchy, and then
Kathy
we
was
come,
gone.
and then we come to the end of that, then it goes to 2 counselors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't understand the hierarchy. Last thing, I think, that, are we gonna discuss the SDCPs, especially since you made a revelation during budget that that's not one of the things that are bound by the charter?
We can if council wants to.
I think we should. I think we should. I think that we should. I mean, we've always said that was the reason, that one of the things we wanted to change because of the charter restriction. And if that's not a restriction, then I think we need to.
She already did.
Can I interrupt again,
Okay.
please? Our resolutions state that they can be increased by the whatever that is.
I fixed.
They just
Yep.
never,
They just
you know,
never
nobody was managing and doing that.
Okay.
Correct.
And so, and then it said, oh no, we can't, then it was
Then it
said,
was,
we can't do
you can't do
that.
Yep.
Now it
And
just-
then now it was said, and we asked Ruben.
Yep.
Okay, it's in the resolution, it says we can
Yeah.
increase it every year by the whatever, so we. Actually, our engineer has been doing it, has done it for us twice. and
That's my
didn't
twice?
charge us for doing it. One of Ed's department guys.
Oh, all right.
So we are doing that, or we have done that?
We have, yeah. Yeah, it's the construction CPI.
My understanding.
Yes,
Yes,
they have been.
updated last year. I think it's probably time again.
I did not have that stuck in my head that, okay, well, yeah, great, if that's been resolved.
Thank you. Mary Ann.
Yeah, just a question for Bernard. What are you gonna do with the piles of Scotch broom?
Yeah, oh, you're sitting there collecting.
Glad you asked.
Fire hazard, if you didn't know.
Glad you asked. So the big stems, I'm gonna trim down and I'm turn those babies into firewood. And the small stuff, I will be taking the burn pile.
Just was
Oh,
wondering
don't worry.
what you were doing with.
I'm
the
giving a
piles.
proper sacrificial grave to these
Yeah.
Scotch broom.
Okay,
And
that
we
was.
burnt them today.
All right. And then I
So
would like
fun.
to, propose or ask that Shantae come to work in the office. We have Kathy and Carrie, and if they're not there, we have no staff. Jordan, I'm sorry, you are staff, but, Shantae is our finance director. She needs to be in the office. She needs to cover the payroll, the AP, all of that until we get the proper people. But even then, I feel that she needs to be in the office. She is a director of finance. She is in charge of the finances. She can't be in charge of finances if she's not in the office.
Madam Mayor.
That's my 2 cents and that's all I have.
Quickly.
I think this is a great conversation. And I think in addition to that, we should have a conversation about the staffing of City Hall. Whether we continue 410s or maybe we go
Mm-hmm.
9s, and there's different ways to do
Yeah.
this. Where we have a presence in City Hall 5 days a week. I would love if you would consider putting this type of conversation as a workshop item for
Yeah.
council.
For staff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's council's conversation on how we want city hall
Staff,
staff
yeah.
on a Monday through Friday. From finance, city administrator to the different services we provide, what should that look like? I'd be very interested in that conversation.
Okay. Mary Ann, did you have more?
No, that was my comment is Shantae needs to be here.
And on that note, I am in agreement that I don't think we can cut any meetings. I think we got too much to do. And I'm excited about the stuff we're doing, guys. I really am. And I don't wanna slow things down. I think we got some good momentum. And that's what we signed up for. So,
Right.
and to your point, we missed some council meetings with holidays and December. So, no, I think we got enough to do. Thank you for sending out the calendar invites. I appreciate that. I
Yep.
did look at some of the calendar invites, so I don't think maybe not all the counselors were on every invite, so just wanted to make sure. I can't remember which one I looked at, but I thought I saw maybe just double check and which they're going there.
Are we supposed to respond to those?
Yes.
Yeah, if you don't,
Yeah.
I think Tiffany might not have been on one of them, that's what
Yeah.
Really?
I only have one, which was for early meeting tonight, that's the only one I had, I don't know if there was any more.
Really?
Mary Ann, if you click on it, it'll just give you, you're gonna attend and that's all.
So I really appreciate that, thank you, I definitely think it might help with participation for all of the meetings that we all attend, but especially for those folks that are on the budget committee that aren't necessarily attending every time and they might not remember. Thank you, Bernard, for all your work with picking up trash around town. I think it's kind of like with the broken window theory, like if there's a broken window, we're more likely to break more. I think the same thing with garbage and trash. People see garbage and trash, they're more likely to throw garbage.
They don't care about our community.
Yeah.
So
Keeping it clean.
Yeah.
We do
So
that.
just, I called Bernard about, it pulled that camper off the
Yeah,
boat
the
down at the
camper,
bottom of that
they moved it.
overpass.
Yeah.
And they pulled the camper, but they left all the garbage there, and so I was kind of whining about it, and Bernard's like, well, let's come pick it up, and it was gone the next day. So, yeah, thank you. I think that's all I got. Rain's good, so.
Too hot.
All right, I just have a few things. I wanted to, our last Saturday, we did the yard debris dump day. We had 29 people come with either cars, trucks, or whatever. It was busy. Also, I wanted to make sure that people that are on budget committee or council that want a copy of the budget, if we could get one.
The final budget.
the final budget.
Copy of it.
Yeah.
Detail line item copy, please.
And then the cemetery is something that we will need to talk about later too. Because we are supposed to have a superintendent and all that. And then I wanted to talk,
Sheldon is the person that does that.
He's
He's
his
the,
name's right up on the bulletin.
Yes,
board.
Sheldon is the gentleman that's in charge of cemetery.
okay. All right, and then National Night Out, hopefully we can all get people to come and I'll reach out to Jeremiah. We're gonna try to do it at the park, so that way it's not on city property. That way, if we want to talk about what we're putting on the measure with people, that we can. And then I'll reach out to the port about the sound system and stuff as well. I'm excited for whenever the governor finally signs the bill, that we will be able to tell the people that we got that loan of $1.6 million relieved from the community. And I'm so excited because I think that's gonna gain more trust and transparency and show them that we are working for them and we're hearing them. And it's the same thing with public safety. We are hearing that they want public safety and all that, and we want it. You know, it takes work to do it, but we need them to show up at the ballot, you know, and we need to convey that to them and get out and do all that. And I think that's all. I just got done being sick, so, the museum collection transfer. They had told me that the documents were ready to be.
Jeremiah texted me, and I don't remember receiving them, so I need to follow up on it.
Oh, okay, because
Yeah.
they told me that they were just waiting on the mayor's signature and then it was done. I was
Yeah,
like,
I'll have to.
okay. All right, and that's all I have.
To adjourn.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you guys for coming too.
The whole time.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
You don't quit.
We don't quit.
hopefully it wasn't an exercise in like